We are waiting for one more board member. So please bear with us. morning.
Sorry, we were muted. I just unmuted.
That's okay, thank you. If it's all right with the other board members, I think we could muddle through this morning until Ms. Faith gets here. If that is all right with the other board members?
That's all right with me. Liz, just so you know, the sound is really, I don't know if there's not a microphone near you, but I can't hear you very well.
All right, we do have a microphone near me.
I'll move it closer.
I could always scoot a little closer. Good morning. Good morning. All right, so we have the microphone a little closer to me. Is that better?
Maybe it's my computer. I will figure some things out and let you know.
I can hear you.
It's better
Okay,
now.
so it must be my computer then.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Roca, would you like to act on behalf? Would you like to be acting chair this morning?
Normally I would, but I have lost my voice, so probably not the best idea. I'm gonna try to save it.
All right, we'll just need one of you to call the meeting to order. Would you like to do that, Ms. Will?
Is there a script in here?
There might be. Yes. Asked you in the first place. All right.
All right, we are going to call the meeting to order. And we'll start first with having the secretary read the preamble, please.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this Monday, June 3rd, 2024. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comments on a particular matter. Okay, Madam Chair? Acting Madam Chair?
Okay, thank you for reading the preamble for us. Can you please call the roll?
Thank you. Ms. Roca?
Present.
Ms. Holzer?
Present.
Ms. Faith is so far absent this morning. She may arrive late. And Ms. Wilson.
Present.
Madam Chair, we have 3 members here this morning. We do have a quorum. However, if the final vote is not unanimous, the appellants risk the variance being denied. And due to the fact that there is not there's not 4 members this morning, the appellants could ask for a postponement to a further date when we would possibly and most likely have more members present. So at this time, we could ask the appellants if they would like to request a postponement until we have 4 members. They can do so.
Okay, is there anyone here or online who would wish to postpone based on the number of members present? Who would want to postpone their case? Yeah, like ask for a different date in the future. Yes,
If we are here today, don't
Today's the
easy
day.
for me just to postpone that day again.
Okay,
I wanna talk, I came here to talk, I am here to hear people, I wanna do this today.
Okay, very good. I will take that as a no. And I'm hearing nothing from anyone online. So I think we will move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other postponements or?
We do have one postponement request this morning. This request comes from the city. Apparently, they are not able to have the proper officials here to explain the tow truck license appeal. So they are asking for 2 weeks, I believe. So the 17th or the 24th, we could probably get them on.
Okay, all right. We don't need to vote on that, right?
Would you like to, pardon me?
Do we need to vote on that? We don't need to.
I think if boards could state that, board members should state if they have any objections or not.
Okay. Any objections to postponing this matter, fellow board members?
No objection, but I don't know, did we pick a date?
June 17th or June 24th. This is a tow truck license. Of course, sooner is better. We can make June 17th work, if that's all right with the board
Okay.
members.
That works.
June 17th.
That works.
So calendar number BZA 24-068 has been postponed to June 17th. If anyone on the call received a written copy of our letter or an email copy, you will receive another one 10 days before the hearing. Thank you. And that is all that we have for postponements and withdrawals.
Excuse me,
Okay,
excuse me.
yes.
You said you want to postpone, that means another day for us to come back here?
No, just a particular case.
I am here for the case of 7202 House Avenue.
Okay, that's still going forward this morning. We are not postponing that one.
You want to postpone that one?
No, we
No.
are not.
Okay.
You're good.
All good.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I would like to announce that we have Councilman Slade present, so as a courtesy, we usually jump to the councilperson's case since they're present.
Okay, perfect. Let's start with that case, please.
So this is gonna be calendar numbers 24-072. And the following case, 24-073.
Perfect. All right, Ms. Holden, you want to begin with reading that in?
Sure thing, Madam Chair. Are we, and I'm assuming we're hearing them at the same time then, so I will read those.
It makes sense.
It does? Okay, perfect. We'll do that.
Sounds good. I'll wait until the PowerPoint catches up. All right. Good morning. Our first case is our first two cases are calendar numbers 24-072. This is at 18332 and 18338 Ferncliff Avenue. And I'll read this one first. The Cleveland Muslim Community Center owner proposes to construct a parking lot in a two-family residential district. The owner appeals for a leak from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. And then the next one is calendar number 24-073. And I'll let the PowerPoint catch up. This is at 18319 and 18325 Fairville Avenue. Again, the Cleveland Muslim Community Center owner proposes to construct a parking lot in a two-family zoning district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, and it looks like this one has 4, as opposed to the previous one where there were 2. And then, Madam Chair, will you also be reading in the oath?
That is a good question. Can I also swear in and act as
I
chair?
can try and do it. I can do it.
Thank you, Board Member Roca. Appreciate that. We're juggling here. Appreciate your patience,
Yes.
folks.
All right, I will start with individuals in the room. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, and state your name.
I will. Oh, I'm sorry, just the people who are going to testify in this moment. All right, we'll start here.
I do, Charles Slife, 601 Lakeside Avenue, and I do believe there are some residents here for this case as well, in addition to the
Oh,
imam.
okay. We'll swear you in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. My name is Ayhan Razi, the representative of the Cleveland Muslim Community Center. I do.
Okay, I'm gonna have you spell your name for me, please.
AYHAM. Last name is ABAZID. As in David.
Okay. And is there anyone else wishing to speak in this case? Not in person? You said there are more people, right?
Did you want to speak, sir? No, in the back.
If necessary, I want to hear what's gonna come out of this.
Okay.
If you want to speak, now's the time to be sworn in. We'd have you come up to the table. I do see others online, so we'll come and swear you in as well.
Well, that's all right. My name is Chuck Rete, and
Spell your name for me, Chuck.
last name Retay.
Okay. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and give your address, please.
18309 Burville Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Madam
Anyone else
Chair,
in the-
what was his first name? I don't think I caught that.
Charles.
Charles, thank you.
All right, we can move to the people online, Board Member Roca.
Great, thank you. We're moving to anyone online who would like to speak in this case. Swearing in all who are present, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and spell it for the record.
I do. Jason English, Engrish. Address is 18331 Fairville Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio 44135.
Good morning. I do. Nate Lull, 601 Lakeside Avenue, NATELULL.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Anyone else?
I do. Jesse Abazid, ABAZID. Address 18823 Ferncliff Avenue.
Anyone else?
I do. My name's Gina DiBiasio, DIBIASIO, 18331 Fairville Avenue.
Next person, please.
I do. Catherine Vasey, 18313 Ferncliff Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Can you spell your last name, ma'am?
VASEY.
Thank you. And anyone else on the call? All right, hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So we will start with the history of the property, please.
Thank you. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that for the address of 18332, a single-family house was erected on the property in 1953. For 18338, a single-family house was erected on the property in 1951. And those are on the street of Ferncliff. For the addresses on Fairville, we found that for 18325 in 1949, a single-family house was erected. For 18319, 1952, a single-family house was erected. There are no variances on file. And then in the more recent history, we found that in March of 2023, for 18332 Ferncliff, a permit was issued to demolish a single-family dwelling. In May of that same year, a permit was issued to demolish a single-family residence also at 18338 Ferncliff. And also in May of 2023, for the address of 18319 Fairville, a permit was issued to demolish a single-family dwelling. And then March of 2023, for the address of 18325 Fairville, a permit was issued to demolish a single-family dwelling on site. And that is all that I have that's relevant, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Can we now move to the legal standard?
Actually, I was going to read that this morning.
Oh, perfect.
You were locked. All right, Madam Chair and members of the board, the appellant is requesting a use variance from the requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will, one, result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance. Two, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And three, that granting of the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Please note also that under section 349.13, which states that the Board of Zoning Appeals may permit temporarily or permanently the use of land in a residence district other than a limited one-family district for a parking lot, when the best interest of the community will be served, and provided that, number one, the lot is to be used only for the parking of passenger automobiles of employees, customers, or guests of the persons or firm controlling and operating the lot. Two, no charges to be made for the parking lot. Number three, the lot is not to be used for sales, repair work, or servicing of any kind. Number four, the entrance to and exit from the lot are to be located so as to do the least harm to the residence district. Five, no advertising signs or materials are to be located on the lot. Six, all parking is to be kept back of the setback building line by barrier unless specifically authorized by the board. Seven, the parking lot and that portion of the driveway back of the building line are to be adequately screened from the street and from the adjoining property in the residence district. 8, which states that the building permit number under which the lot is established is to be posted. And 9, which states that other and further conditions may be imposed as the board may deem necessary in specific case to reduce the adverse effect on the proximity of the parking lot on the character and development and maintenance of the residence district. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, I will now turn to the appellant and have you present your case.
Okay, basically, we have a lot of issue with our parking. We have smaller parking lots since we have a gymnasium has been built there. And with the congregation getting bigger and bigger. And we try to basically contain our congregation in the parking lot rather than bothering the neighbor on the street, blocking sometimes unintentionally driveways and so on, to use it for only on Fridays for an hour or so, and also in Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan. So like I said, the main purpose of that, to contain our people in the parking lot rather than parking the street, bothering the neighbors and so on. This is the only thing really, the only purpose, the whole thing really.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about sort of where your parking lot is, what's around it. Give us a little bit of context if you will.
We talk about the existing parking here.
Uh-huh.
As you see the mosque there, there's a gymnasium next to it and the school. The first building is the school close to Ferncliff there, next to it the mosque, and there's the gymnasium also for the school. And then the parking lot all around there. We have exit for Fairville because we own the house right across from the exit and the entrance, of course. And we have another exit on Ferncliff. As you see, the parking is not big at all. And we own those properties. And just like there's nothing much to be said beside not bothering the neighbor, to be a good neighbor, that's all. As you see, we improved the whole thing there. We have beautiful buildings there, and we willing to do whatever it takes, whatever you guys require, and to make it look good also as a parking. You can plant trees, flowers, whatever it takes to make it nice and presentable for the neighbors. As you see, if you're the building all spend a lot of money to make it look good, to make the neighbor even better.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I will turn to public comment. I assume you want to go last. Is that
I can go right now.
You want to go now? Okay, please.
So this is for anyone who's not familiar on the board. This is the Masjid Al Omari, which is on Rocky River Drive, a little bit north of the airport. And so now we're looking the other direction. But at the top left corner is an old church that the congregation bought. And due to growth, they have built on a new mosque prayer hall, adding on a new gym because there's a school attached. And kind of the success of the congregation is such that it's actually grown to, I'm told, be the largest mosque in the state of. There's actually a lot of people moving into the neighborhood to be within walking distance of the school, walking distance of the mosque. But the challenge has been that with the growth of the congregation and the need to expand the building, the existing parking lot has shrunk as a result, while the congregation is also growing. So I'm told on Friday afternoon, there could be as many as 800 people coming to pray. I know anecdotally, a lot of people who like work at the airport or Fairview Hospital will come just because of proximity. Parking has become a real challenge in the neighborhood. And I think as a result, unintentionally, there have been issues with people being double parked, people parked on front lawns, people accidentally blocking driveways. And, this is, there's many ways that I've been trying to help the congregation alleviate some of its parking needs, including parking in the curb lane on Rocky River Drive, which historically allowed, but the Division of Traffic Engineering agreed would not cause traffic issues on the thoroughfare as a way to try to pull some of the cars off of the side streets. The congregation purchased these properties and, as it was stated, pursued demolition through permitting. Since then, people have begun kind of unsurprisingly parking on these as kind of like a spillover lot, but it's unimproved. And I've gotten calls from neighbors asking, isn't there supposed to be some kind of screening, like has this sort of happening haphazardly? So to me, by approving these variances and allowing these to be approved by, as mid-block parking lots, that, would have landscaping, would be, available to the community, maybe outside of the specific time for needs for like a congregation place. I think it's worth, and one of the reasons I wanted to be here today, I think the Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission is understandably worried. We have a history in the city of over parking, and we're not trying to kind of recreate the Great Northern parking lot, which is built for the day after Thanksgiving in 1985 and sits mostly empty. But in this case, I think that the parking needs are justified, in addition to Friday prayers, Ramadan, other feasts and festivals, it turns into maybe as much as 1 out of 3 days every year. There's a high parking need. So it's not a case where we're trying to create parking for 1 or 2 days a year. It's consistent. So I'm not sure that this will totally alleviate the totality of the need, but it'll help pull some of the pressure off. And I spoke with Director Wong about it at length. And I think, in partnering with the imam and members of the mosque, helping them in this, they're so not involved with this conversation. There's also a funeral home. There's a growing community around this mosque and helping to understand kind of what the master plan is and kind of what the extent of these boundaries could be. I think we all don't want this maybe to continue going further west than it is being proposed. And quite frankly, I don't think the congregation wants to either, because people are eager to move into the neighborhood to be within close proximity of the mosque itself. So for those reasons, I'm supportive. I believe that having it be an improved parking lot will benefit what's right now being a spillover negative consequence on some of the immediate neighbors, especially those right next door who are having people park closer than this plan allows them to.
Okay, thank you for that, Councilman Slade. Now I want to turn to those of you who wish to comment on the case who have already sworn in. I'll start with you. Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Well, there's probably 3 things that bother me somewhat about this.
Okay.
One is that you're isolating the properties, such as my own house, between different things that aren't normal to a neighborhood. Having the parking lot on both sides. Another is during release of the cars coming out of the parking lots, it becomes almost unfavorable now to head toward Rocky River. Originally, when the mosque looked for variances to build, exits from the parking lot were to be on where they were at that time. Now with the new building there, that exit came right next to my house. It becomes almost impossible to leave Fairville Avenue exiting east now without doing some sort of change to the street, widening it so that it allows for parking and two-way traffic. And the other objection I do have is for my neighbors. When people pull into these parking lots and they use it for parking, during the daytime is one thing. At nighttime, you have lights, you have obstructions. Late at night, that becomes a problem. there are services that are held late at night that, I bear with. I don't, it's fine. People maintain relative in and out, but at nighttime, it is an obstruction for the people that would be living there with cars parking up against their house. So they will need some sort of, blockage of light and things of that sort.
Is that all? Do you have more?
No, I think that's enough.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. I'm moving to those of you who are online who wish to speak in this matter. I have on my list Jason. I did not catch your last name. I'm so sorry. Jason, are you there?
Yes, it's English, Engrish.
There we go. Okay, thank you. I'll have you go next, please.
So, I work at Cleveland Clinic main campus. I'm central healthcare worker. My fiance has had that house for a long time. I've been living there for about 9 years now. I'm actually at work right now. I got a authorized break to take here, in the middle of taking care of patients and making IVs here, at main campus Cleveland Clinic. And, we've had nothing but problems with this ever since they started, tearing down the properties, from damaging our fence lines to damaging our property lines. They damaged my back line of my fence. They dropped trees in our yard. So this whole process has been a little uneasy of this parking lots that they were building, and the situations that have happened, and saying that this is an overflow and overspill. They've been using these lots for parking ever since they tore down the houses. And they do, in fact, have a car that has a flagger that tells the people to come down there and park. Making the barriers, and they're right now they're illegal parking lots, but even putting up proper barriers, proper exits and entrances and signs and lights, all of this stuff is happening right next, feet from my bedroom window, feet from my stepson who's on disability's bedroom window, right along where my animals and my pets feel secure in their backyard. Well, we don't feel secure now. Between the construction work that has happened to now, if there is officially an approval of these parking lots, we're at 18331 Fairville Avenue. I have 2 empty lots next to me and 3 empty lots behind me. Between the trash that's left behind, the noise ordinances, and I'm a very religious man myself. I don't want to impede on anybody. We all need to equally live and have our right to be on this earth and pray to our God and take care of each other. The problem is when I'm already in bed to get up early for healthcare, and not on top of the parking lots that are going to create ordinance, there's already been a sound ordinance that's broken every night because they pray at 10:30 at night and then they pray at 4:30 at morning. I get woken up when I'm already asleep for work for the hospital, and then I get woken up early, and then I'm coming to work dead tired when I'm supposed to be making IVs and chemos that keep people alive or kill them in a hospital every day, or one of the most respected hospitals in the entire world, that people from all over the world come to this hospital. And it's not just me, it's other neighbors. So now if there's gonna be a parking lot right next to my window, my bedroom window, I don't see how you're gonna create, unless you put a 15-foot wall up of a barrier to prevent from car lights, car horns, car alarms, car windows, voicing conversations, because I already have it now. So from people randomly coming up and down and going back and forth from the mosque to their residency, or when we come in on Fridays and 800 some people show up. I don't see how putting illegal parking lots in the middle of a residential area that's already there is going to alleviate or fix anything. It's only going to become a continuing problem. To go along with the councilman said that he feels that he agrees with it. If they're continuing to grow, it's only going to continue to grow. So at one point, then what happens to our properties when this is now completely around all of us and there's only 2 houses left? And there's other areas in that area where there could be property that could be used. You have a whole baseball field in an empty lot diagonally across the street where those baseball fields and those empty grass fields. Why couldn't something be done over in that commercial area, a commercial zoning area, to put parking lots over there, then where people could be shuttled in, like they shuttle people into work at Fairview Hospital and have them come over and pray? there's got to be a different way. I don't want to deny people of their right to come and pray in their mosque and to their church and their religion, but you can't do this at the expense of the people that are living there in their residence. That there has to be some kind of fair common ground, and putting up parking lots right next to my window and right next to my son who's on disability's window and causing us traumas like on a continuous basis, and my dog waking up every single night. It's not just whether every time a car alarm goes off, every time someone talks right past my window already. So now if you're putting 50 to hundreds of people parking next to me and behind me, that's causing my dog distress. So she's constantly barking, and then it's waking me up. It's waking my other neighbors up, and we all have jobs to go do and all have a life to live. So I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a little going off and being tangent, and I'm sure there's more people that have, you know, their bullet points and professional, like have it broken down and can speak on this behalf of the neighborhoods besides me. So I'm not gonna take up too much of your guys' time. I just don't see how putting parking lots up in the middle of our neighbors in between our houses is right. This can't, you guys, please, like, for the sake of all of us, this can't be approved. This is just not, it's not going to end well. And I just don't see how this could be something that gets put in place. I'm sorry, I'm done speaking. That way other people can speak, and I won't keep this too long. So I'm still going to stay on and hopefully listen, but I know I unfortunately do have to get back to work and make chemos and other drugs for the afternoon patients, but I'm sure there's lots of other people that want to speak, and I'm sorry for going off on a little tangent. And I could go in for days and send you pictures and all the stuff that the damage has been done to our fence line and exposing my 4x4 posts. I've had my fence fall over, and we've had to put it back up because of the digging up of the parking lot right under our property lines. I had to call AT&T because our telephone pole has been exposed from digging up too close to our property lines. So I'm, you know, that's a whole other issue that was already created before this, that we've, you know, contacted every city official that and honestly, I feel like we haven't been taken care of, and we haven't been spoken for by our city officials, other than, honestly, I don't remember his last name, but his first name is Roman, and he's the guy that runs the air pollution control for the city, because he actually sent the city official out and had part of the construction being stopped at the moment, because when they were tearing down the houses, there was all kinds of pollution, air pollution coming all over our yard. It affected my allergies. I actually had to go to a doctor, and because of the air exposure quality that was being put through my yard from the house being torn down without being watered down. I've had my other neighbors have tires be popped from, you know, nails and everything else, and I have to constantly go up and clean up the property because trash is being left every Friday, when it's not mostly the people that live in our neighborhood. The people that live in our neighborhood take care of our neighborhood. It's a lot of the people that are driving in from all over the place who don't care about the neighborhood, that come from all over the place, like the councilman said. They come from all over, and regardless of where they park, they're still not taking care of their neighborhood because it's not their neighborhood. They don't have to worry about waking up and, you know, when people are coming at all hours of the night, coming, you know, to do their prayers and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I apologize, and I'll let other people speak. Thank you so much for letting me have my moment.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll go to the next person now. The next person on my list is Nate Lowe.
Good morning, Chair. Nate Law with City Planning. I'll go after all the residents speak.
Okay, very good. I'll come back to you. The next person I have is Abazid. Hopefully I didn't butcher that name. Did I say that right?
You did good.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll have you go next.
Just a couple of comments on what Charles and Jason has mentioned. As far as Friday prayers, when after prayers is done, literally within 15 minutes, all those cars are gone. We have volunteers try to regulate traffic in and out. We have police officers who are helping us during the process. So I don't think that's much of an issue there. But the issue is people parking on the streets. And we have actually police officer that every Friday actually is puts a cone in front of Charles and the other neighbors' house, cones just to make sure nobody blocked their driveways. It did happen before, but since we've been having cones there, nobody been bothering them. But as far as parking on the empty lots, people want to park, otherwise I need empty lots. I have an empty lot. I have my driveway. People park there. They don't want to, they try not to do illegal things, and we appreciate what the councilman has did for us, allow us to park on Rocky River Drive. And this could be sometimes, hazardous for, traffic because that's a busy road. So we're trying to alleviate that traffic to go into those lots. As far as what Jason's concerned, we all in the neighborhood have insulated windows. You can't even hear the airplane flying by. That's how good those windows. And I appreciate the city that done that way before I moved into the neighborhood. And every single house in that neighborhood has insulated windows. And the damages, I apologize if there's any damage that had happened to his fence, but it never was brought to the attention of the mosque, because I'm one of the volunteers of the mosque. When somebody has complaints, they come to us. We never have, had a complaint about that. If he did complain to us, we would have I would have went up to the masjid, to the imam, Ayham Abazid, and I asked him to, we have a neighbor who's complaining. And it happened, like I said, every time we have a complaint, we address it. And we try to take care of it the best we can. But those parking lots are very, very well needed for, to alleviate the traffic off the side streets, the main street, and the neighbors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll go to the next person now. The next person I have on my list is Gina.
Hi.
Say your last name for us, please.
It's Gina DiBiasio.
Oh, I was gonna butcher that.
It's a toughie.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much. Go ahead with your comments.
Hi, so I'm Gina. I live with Jason. My address is 18331 Fairville. I am not as verbose as Jason, but I do have a couple of concerns. I do understand the need for parking. I agree it's a problem. I don't feel that the solution should be at the expense of the other residents in the neighborhood. You're talking about putting parking lots in between people's homes. And when Jason says our bedroom windows are close, he's not exaggerating. Our bedroom is like, when we had a house there, when our neighbors were there, we could hear each other talking and stuff. That's how close we will be to this parking lot. And to close the windows, we got the airport soundproofing. It was the year 2000. That was 24 years ago. We can hear airplane, we can hear everything. You're gonna have people parking the whole month of Ramadan because that celebration is 30 days and people don't start going down to the mosque until, sunset or nightfall, and that's like 9 o'clock. We had people, parking at 9 and then it ends maybe around midnight, maybe even later. And people are gonna be talking, next to us in the parking lot, and there's gonna be lights and car alarms and car doors, all the stuff that goes along with parking. So it's a real concern. I also have concern for our safety. Granted, you're saying you're gonna put up shrubbery, but is shrubbery gonna stop an SUV if someone accidentally hits the gas versus, the brakes? We have grandkids that come over, we're always in the yard. At the last day of the celebration of Ramadan, someone literally drove across our front lawn to get to the parking next to us. So had someone been out there coming around the side of the house, it's very unsafe. I have real concerns about our safety. I don't know if you guys understand where our house is, but we actually will have 2 sides of our home surrounded by parking. So we're gonna have parking right outside our bedrooms and right behind us, which behind us, okay, that's not really a safety hazard, but so close to our house is really, really concerning. And that's not what we bought. When I bought my home, never did I think, I want to live next to a parking lot. Our home values, obviously, everyone affected by this, our values are going to go way down. Can we expect compensation when we go to sell our house? Who's going to want to live next to parking lots? I guess those are my two main concerns really, are just safety and the value of our homes by everybody that's gonna be living surrounded by parking lots now. And I do think that there are other solutions. I mean, there's a lot of land like up by like Kiefer Industries, which is like half a mile from here on the other side of Rocky River Drive. I actually mentioned this kind of the councilman because he's been talking to me a lot about this too. And maybe they could figure out something where there's like a shuttle that could shuttle people back and forth. I don't know, but I just feel like to put it between homes is just, I don't know. I don't think it's a good solution. I feel very unsafe with it. And that's being respectful to everyone. You know, to the mosque. I understand they have an issue with parking, so thank you. That's all I really have.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Gina. We'll go to the next person. Next person on my list is Kathy Vasey.
Hi. I guess my biggest problem is we've been using these two lots for months now. It doesn't alleviate any of the parking issues in our neighborhood. Not only that, we are isolating neighbors from neighbors. You're gonna put something up and they're not gonna be able to like talk over the fence to each other, or it's turning into a non-family neighborhood. And I don't understand that. When it was built, I went to all the meetings when they moved in. They were gonna handle the parking issues. The parking issues have gotten out of control. First of all, yes, they can use Rocky River Drive, but no one else can. Two, if an emergency vehicle needs to get down my street on a Friday or during Ramadan, they cannot get down my street because I can't get in and out of my drive. There's a real issue with breaking up neighborhoods to put parking lots. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mhm.
Are there any other people who have not called who wish to speak? All right, I will come back to you then, Mr. Law. Are you prepared to give comment at this time?
Thank you. Good morning, chair members. Nate Law with Cleveland City Planning. Just here to talk a little bit about our thoughts on this matter. So first off, we did have a meeting with the councilman to discuss the parking in the area and the need for it. There's obviously a great need for parking, especially on the Fridays where there's prayer, where we're estimating over 800 people, coming to the neighborhood to park. So we have accounts of people saying that, it overflows into the neighborhood streets, people double park, all these issues that, we're trying to solve here with this parking lot or these two parking lots. With respect to the neighbors' concerns, I think that, this is a case where it might not be the most ideal solution, but there are ways to mitigate the parking lots. So I think proper landscaping and screening is absolutely imperative to our support. I believe a 5 or 6 foot, board on board fence on the sides and rear of both parking lots could mitigate any lights from going into neighbors' yards like car lights. And also in the front where they're proposing a chain link fence that can be upgraded to a decorative fence to, again, give better curb appeal. And then with respect to, proper landscaping, adding some taller shrubs and trees can, again, mitigate noise, mitigate car pollution, all that stuff. So that's going to be, absolutely important in our support today. Also, with respect to the further potential future expansions, it's also really important that, city planning, the councilman, and the mosque representatives come together to really establish a campus vision rather than these sort of one-off, projects without some sort of articulated, clear, comprehensive plan for the future. So we'd really like to work with the mosque and the councilman on that in the future to avoid sort of these one-off parking lot projects and really solve for some of the issues that we're talking about today with respect to the demand for parking in the neighborhood. And all in all, that is going to be the way that we satisfy both the neighbors' concerns and the mosque's needs. So with that, again, our support for the project is due to the need for parking in the neighborhood so badly, and we really think that this will potentially help alleviate, but not fully solve for, and we recognize that. So we need to really establish a clear vision for the future of the campus, and they are an asset to the neighborhood, 100%, and we really respect and appreciate that. So with that, thank you, chairpersons and members of the board.
Okay, thank you so much. I will now turn to board members for questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a couple questions. I don't think we've heard testimony from the appellant about the details with regard to asphalt and grading and what their plans are for the parking lot in that regard. I would also like the appellant to comment on Mr. Lowell's potential compromise on adding fencing, adding shrubbery and other things to screen lighting.
Okay, we'll go back to you and have you respond to that, please.
So what's concerned, I misheard what you said, I'm sorry.
Yes, so Mr. Lowe raised a couple of issues regarding the design of your parking lot. So can you just kind of speak to what the design will be like and whether you're able to meet those design requirements that he laid out?
Absolutely. I mean, any design that will satisfy the neighborhood to, eliminate any issue regarding the sound, the pollution, regarding the lights, we're willing to do, as we have the whole mosque. Basically, I just want to count a couple of things about, since the mosque was built, the whole property went up, basically. The houses, demand, people came from all over the city, from Avon, came from Lakewood to live in Cleveland right now. I mean, they improved their houses, built some they put like nice stone decoration in their houses. The whole neighborhood become a little bit much better than before. This is the God truth. And the second thing, whatever it takes, as we have done before with our good neighbor Chuck here, and the 8-foot fence we have put there, board by board, to eliminate the light and so on. And regarding the nights, late night, it's only a couple months out of the year. And with the nights time, especially nowadays, we only all contain the small parking lot. They don't go to the side. Only Friday, they park in the one in Ferncliff. Unfortunately, they do that. So to eliminate whatever the park on the street. And going through the traffic, people going in and out all day long. Even during Friday prayer, they can go through. The neighbor is not blocked because they only park on the one side of the street, not both sides, which is legal. So still people going through. And like Jesse said, it will only take 15 minutes for the people to leave the mosque after all this stuff. Remember, because we have about 20 volunteers beside the police officers from the Cleveland First District hired every Friday and every night in Ramadan to direct the traffic, to make sure, to comfort. I know it could be a little hard for the neighbors, but to comfort the neighbor as much as we can. But really, we try our best. And regarding what she mentioned, forgot the name, I'm sorry. So what she mentioned, we're really willing to do that, absolutely. We could hire an architect to satisfy the city, the neighbors, to make sure things done the proper way, to make sure the neighbors, as much as we can, to comfort the neighbor, to make them feel secure and peace and so on.
Okay,
Thank
what is
you.
your current plan? I'm sorry, Ms. Roca, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can ask your question and I'll follow up when you're done.
Okay, what's your current plan for the screening of your parking lot to shield the lights from your neighbors' homes?
What their request previously was like a board fence, and we done that. If they need more than that, we willing to do that. They want to put like that. We have, like, if you look at the picture of the Google, we have all the trees around it, which is evergreen trees. And this is probably will eliminate the traffic, the pollution. Not traffic, the light, the pollution, the sound will absorb all this stuff. Whatever it takes, we're willing to do. At your request.
Okay, and then do you intend to charge a fee for parking in the lot?
No, we don't charge fees.
Okay,
It's a non-profit organization, as you know.
okay. And then you're not gonna use the lot for any sales or repair work or car
Absolutely,
servicing or anything like
absolutely
that?
not. Absolutely not.
Okay, and are you okay with foregoing your use of the parking lot at nighttime? Because I think I heard you say you wouldn't use it at night anyway,
We do
right?
it only Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, but during we need it for Fridays, every Friday. We need it like a couple of days a week. We have special holidays after Ramadan, and we have another one coming in 15 days. I'm sorry, 20 days. And then twice in the morning, besides Fridays and Ramadan, which is 30 nights or 29 nights.
Okay.
We're doing this at night outside those, the month of Ramadan. But
Okay.
every Friday gonna be, we'll use definitely from 1 to 2 o'clock, 1 hour, 15 minutes, so.
From 1 a.m. or p.m.?
PM, 1 PM till about 2:30 maximum.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there any nighttime use? Are you using the lot after 9 p.m.?
Those we've used in Ramadan,
Okay, and how often is that?
once a year.
Once a year?
Yeah, once a year with 30 nights.
Okay,
Yeah.
30 nights,
Yeah,
once a year.
which is the whole
Got
month.
it.
Yeah, month for the whole month of Ramadan. We use, because also in Ramadan we have like every day, or I'm sorry, every night the congregation was kind of, it's not as big as Friday, but it's big. It's part of the existing parking lot will not be enough, definitely.
Got it. Okay. What can you do to minimize the noise at 9 p.m. at
We
night?
could like hire more police officers, more volunteers for this specific two lots to make sure everyone comes quietly, leave quietly, and there's no like side talk conversation during the night and to leave. And this is like the month of Ramadan coming like earlier every year as you will go, that time changes. Next Ramadan will be in March, so it would be for the last prayer will be about 9 o'clock, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Matter of fact, next year will be about 8 o'clock, the last prayer of Ramadan. So it will not be as late.
Okay.
You talk about probably because as you go with the lunar calendar, goes back probably 30 years from now to goes back to the summertime. So matter of fact, now we're going to be earlier every year.
All right. And then what about advertising or signs? Do you have any intention on doing any of that?
Absolutely not.
All right, Ms. Holzer, I will turn to you for any questions at this time.
I'd just like to hear a little bit more from the appellant and/or councilman around other options that were explored. I know I heard, I believe it was Gina, and I apologize if it was not, mentioned that there may be alternate locations in the neighborhood where parking agreements could potentially be set up. And so I'm curious if those other options had been explored, and if they have anything to share from that regard.
Well, if I don't see how like half a mile away from the mosque, I mean, I don't see this how practice because our prayer only half an hour. So by the time we get the people there, shuttle, wait for the shuttle to get filled and come back, will be like in a way they're gonna miss their prayer. So the whole thing, the whole Congress, half an hour. So between the moment we start the speech till then, half an hour, probably another 5 minutes, so 35 minutes maximum. So by the time they get from here to there, they talk a lot of them, like 95% of those people are working. So they come from far distance, from the Fairview Hospital, from the airport, from downtown. They come from all over. So they come from different even cities. They come there because they like this area. They like this mosque. Like I said, many people they moved here. Not everyone though. So, however, this will be as practical as just walking distance to the mosque. Definitely, like go there. As it will be very effective for us.
Okay.
I'll add to that for Ms. Holzer. There was in addition, I think, to the distance and are people going to opt for the option half mile away or just try to find a spot closer and potentially kind of contribute to the problem that we're facing today. There is it's a site control issue. There's some private properties to the south, but then there is a very large tract, like 30 acres of city of Cleveland owned land. It's under a development rights with a developer. So despite the fact that the city of Cleveland owns the land, we, per that agreement that was signed in the 90s related to airport expansion, don't have any authority to compel the developer to do that. And he's been pretty steadfast in opposing every small thing I brought to him. So in addition to the distance, it comes down to the fact that there's just not real estate immediately nearby that's in the hands of a party that would be a logical partner within this conversation.
Board Member Holzer, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else from you, Board Member Roca?
I just want to state that, this is a very challenging case. I think that both the neighbors have very valid concerns. Board hears and understands and takes very seriously. And it's also not ideal from the board's perspective and just zoning perspective to have a mid-block parking lot on residential streets. So with that said, our goal here is to help balance property rights and come to a compromise between competing interests. And here, I will condition my support of this on the aspects that Mr. Lowell identified. I think there needs to be at least a 6-foot board-on-board fence. There needs to be a appropriate buffer from the adjoining property. I would also like to see landscaping, whatever we can do, whatever the appellant can do to minimize light pollution into adjoining properties is of utmost importance. I would like to see, to the extent I understand there are days where night parking is needed based on the parameters of the religious practice. But I would like to see night parking limited to those times of which it is of need to the mosque. In addition, all of the elements of the code section that apply need to be met, which I think the appellant has testified to that they will be met. Those are just my thoughts.
Okay. Well, I've heard comment from everyone. Is there any board member Holzer, did you want to chime in? Go ahead.
I just had one more question, Madam Chair, to the appellant. I understand that this is not to be paid parking, but building off of what Board Member Roca shared, I am curious how the parking lot will be monitored to ensure that there aren't cars parked there at all hours of the night, not related to the mosque. How are we going to ensure that really it's just the members using that lot, and it's not just an open parking lot for people to come and go at all hours of the night and day?
Really, so there's no need really at nighttime beside the Ramadan. Really, absolutely, there's enough parking in the existing parking for our prayer, the regular prayer, beside Fridays and Ramadan. Really, there's more than enough for the regular prayer. But the thing is, really no need for there. I don't know whatever it takes. Usually, I live there. We have so many people live on the street, Ferncliff and Fairfield. So many people. We probably from the congregation, more than half. From the community, half the community lives in Faircliff and Fairfield. We have probably 30 families in Faircliff. If I know that, I could have bring him here to just go support the project from both sides. But I thought this would be easier than that. So I think really we have about at least 25 families in Faircliff, all from the congregation. They all support this project. However, those people are will be monitoring the place. Plus, people from the mosque will be appointed to make sure. Matter of fact, even the existing parking. Last night, someone called me to park his car in the parking lot. Anyone parked there, we tow the car. We have towing company. We deal with them. Anyone parked is not authorized will be towed, like any other parking. We have the signs even in the fence. If you check, you paid attention to that. We have in the fence, the white fence next to the mosque. Any car does not belong to the mosque will be towed. So, however, the same thing will be at the park. We hire a company. Any car will be there during the different time than what we have, it will be told. Beside this will be, I don't know, if you can recommend something for me, I'd be more than happy to work with you.
Okay.
Really, I'm willing to do whatever to satisfy the neighbors, to make sure they feel this is not going to be used for 24/7, and it's going to be our intention to bother. Really, our intention, matter of fact, to make it easy for the neighbors. This honest to God. So if whatever it takes to satisfy, I'm willing to do so. But I think I'm just suggesting this to have the towing company like we have right now existed with the mosque, any car there beside, during the hours we agreed upon, and then will be towed.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Board Member Holzer?
Just one follow-up, because I am looking at the site plan. Will there be any sort of signage making it clear that the parking lots are affiliated to the mosque?
If that's needed, definitely. There's no need. We make sure whatever if that needs is definitely we'll do the sign. No problem. If you think that's needed, no problem. It's a sign. We'll do the sign.
Holder, I think there's a point in the code section about signs, though.
There is. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, so we actually under section 349.13, they aren't supposed to have signs. on the lot.
If you think I'm sorry, that would help, go ahead, yeah, I'm sorry.
I think Ms. Leonard just chimed in. Can you tell us what that, it went up the screen before I could see?
Good morning, Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Administrator. Any signs for the parking lot, they would need to submit a sign permit application. This is simply for the parking lot and establishing that use.
May I ask a follow-up on
Please.
that? Shannon, does that, is that for like monument signage, or is that for all signage of like, small, like, this property of Cleveland Muslim Community Center, violator subject to towing, just like a small thing when you come in? That's still signage, but not something that would be like a monument sign like you would see outside of the actual prayer hall or something.
Generally speaking, like a towing sign that's 4 square feet or less doesn't need a permit, but it would have to be on the interior of the property and not facing the residential side street.
Okay.
And I was just, to clarify again, was not implying that a monument sign would be built, but was just curious whether or not there would be that type of interior signage, making it clear that, violators will be towed, so on and so forth. I'm just thinking about anything that could be done to make it very clear that this is not just an open parking lot for anyone to come in and park. This is really affiliated with the mosque and under supervision, and that, trying to minimize as much as possible it being seen as just an open parking lot for anyone to come at all hours of the night, separate from the mosque, to minimize that traffic as much as possible.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions from the board members? All right, I will entertain a motion.
Okay. Madam Chair, based on the testimony we've heard today from residents and from the councilman, the city, and also the appellant, I move that we approve calendar number 24-072 and calendar number 24-073 with the following conditions: that the appellant construct a 6-foot board-on-board fence surrounding the parking lots, that the appellant install a ornamental fence on the street-facing side of the parking lot, that the appellant provide for landscaping to screen lights from the parking lot, and that the appellant complies with all of the existing requirements in section 349.13C. And I believe, and that the appellant have some sort of signage as permitted by the code indicating that the parking lot is to be used for the mosque and is not general parking.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Oh, I forgot one. I'm sorry.
Yes,
And that the appellant implement a 5 to 6 foot buffer from adjoining properties for each parking lot.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a second.
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Okay.
Madam Chair, while I have the floor, I did not read into the record that we have 2 objection letters. One letter is from the 2 people on the phone, from Jason English, and there's another one from Joe Steppenbacher, and his address is 18337 Fairville Avenue, and he echoes the same concerns about parking and such. So, Madam Chair, my next question would also be about a site plan. Are we requesting a new site plan as well for this?
I would think so. What are your thoughts, board members?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so I will call the roll. Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
So calendar numbers 24-72 and 24-73 are granted conditionally. We will hold ratification until we receive that updated site plan showing the conditions that were read to you today. Once we receive that, we will ratify it the following Monday. We'll send you a letter.
Thank you very much.
And one more thing I would love to suggest is, as you start to implement your parking lot, reach out to your neighbors, provide a direct line of communication for them to let you know if there are issues that they wish to be resolved. So that way there's not a lot of animosity coming from this. Is that fair?
Very fair.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right, perfect, thank you.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
you're all set. Best of luck. I know.
Just got a message saying. Madam Chair, I did not see any other council people present, so I move back to the top of the agenda at calendar number 24063.
Very good. Thank you so much. We will have you go ahead and read that in, please, Nina.
All right, our next case is calendar number 24-063. This is, it looks like an administrative appeal. Stacy Morse's appeal from the decision of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. Stacy Morse, owner, appeals under the authority of Section 76-6 of the Charter of the City of Cleveland and Section 329.02D of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances from the decision of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission to deny the appellant's request to demolish structures at 4516 Clinton Avenue. With that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you. Do we have Stacy Morse available? In person? Are you online?
I do see, sorry, Madam Chair, this is a take of day. I do see Stacy Morse online. She is muted. You can, if you're calling in, you can hit *6 to unmute. If you're on a device, you should find a unmute button on the bottom of your screen.
Hello, I'm sorry. For some reason, my microphone wasn't connecting, but yes, I am here.
Perfect. Ms. Roca, I will hand it over to you to swear in.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll start, as I did in the last case, with individuals in the room. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, state "I do," and say your name and spell your name for the record.
I do. Dan Musson, Secretary of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission, 601 Lakeside Avenue. Last name's Musson.
I do. My name is Joanne Grether, JoanneGretter. You need my address? 785 Liberty Street, Painesville, Ohio. And I don't have a presentation plan, but the applicant is my daughter, and I was involved with her submitting the application. So if questions arise, I'm prepared to speak.
Okay, good. Anyone else in the room for this matter? All right, we'll turn to those of you who are online. Go ahead and swear in.
Thank you. Anyone online swearing in for this case? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Stacy Morse.
Thank you.
I do. Deb Wright, 4503 Wheat Court.
Thank you.
I do. Stephen C. Oka, 4604 Clinton Avenue.
Stephen, can you please spell your last name?
Yep. C as in cat, IOCCA.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I do. Chris Harrington, 4508 Clinton Avenue.
Thank you. Anyone else on the call? All right, hearing no one else, Madam Chair, back to you.
Thank you. I will now turn it to our secretary to give the history of the property, please.
Madam Chair, in this case, we do not have history for the administrative
Skip that.
appeals. Madam Chair, if we could also possibly, if the board members would agree to maybe placing a timer on these. We are in a time crunch because Ms. Holzer will have to leave around 12:30.
Okay.
So while we want to give everybody the opportunity to be heard, I think we might need to
Okay.
restrict it.
All right, I will pull out my timer. I will now turn to the law department for the legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is appealing a denial of a request to demolish structures at 4516 Clinton by Legal Landmarks Commission. Standard of review is whether the administrative decision was illegal, arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, or unsupported by evidence of substantial, reliable, and probative evidence. Appellant fails to meet this burden, the administrative decision must be affirmed.
Okay, thank you. I will now turn to the appellant to present her case. Stacy Morse, you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. I did submit some slides ahead of time. Yes, that's them. Thank you. So I'm here today to ask the board's permission to demolish the structures located at 4516 Clinton Avenue. These have been condemned by the city of Cleveland since May of 2023. I would like to remedy the hazardous situation on this property by removing the dangerous and dilapidated structures. The structures are abandoned and not in use currently. They include a single-family house, a detached garage, and a shed attached to the garage. You can see in the slide some photos of those structures. I would like to start with just a little bit of background about why I'm here before you today. We purchased the house at the end of May last year. Before closing on the property, I did contact the city about demolishing the house and went back and forth with a few emails. Eventually, we were told, we were told that although the Landmarks Commission would have to approve the demolition, it most likely wouldn't be an issue once we had a plan for what we wanted to build instead. I did specifically ask in this email chain about why I would need to spend a lot of money and time developing plans to be only potentially denied the demolition after many months and many dollars spent. And I was essentially reassured that it wouldn't be a problem. So I did go ahead, hire an architect. We spent many months designing the house that we wanted to build, spent a lot of money, and we presented our design November 30th at the Landmarks Commission. And at our first presentation, the Landmarks members seemed divided on the issue of demolition. Several members were in support of demolition, but overall, the commission did not like our design. We were asked to revise our design. So we did that. We came back on March 14th for a second meeting with the commission. At this point, they unanimously voted to deny our request for demolition. It seemed that regardless of the plans for what we wanted to build, that they were opposed to demolition simply based on the fact that it was an old house in a historic neighborhood. Despite the fact that that same commission has approved demolitions of single-family houses in that same historic district in other instances. So that brings us up to today and why I'm here appealing that decision before you today. So I would like to cover 4 reasons why I believe that my request for demolition should be granted. The first one is to remedy dangerous conditions. The second is based on their own standards of the Landmark Commission. I believe those written standards do support demolition, and I believe the commission voted in violation of their own standards. The third reason is that renovation or partial renovation is not economically viable for myself and my husband, the owners, or anyone else if we were to sell, and I will show some evidence to support that. And then the last reason is that the neighbors living near this house overwhelmingly support demolition. I believe several of them are here to speak as well today. So if I could dive a little deeper into these 4 reasons, the first one is to remedy dangerous conditions. This is a snapshot of the condemnation notice from May of 23. It does classify the house as an imminent danger and peril to human life and public health, safety, and welfare. And it does classify the situation as an emergency. The entire condemnation notice, as well as the structural engineer's report, which I have snippets of in the presentation, were included in the materials that I submitted prior to the hearing today. If we could go on to the next slide. There's several photos I've included, so you can see where this blue arrow is pointing. The siding along the entire house is falling off in multiple locations. It is old asbestos siding, so it is falling off and potentially contaminating the neighborhood. So that is definitely a safety issue. We can move on to the next slide. Underneath the siding, there's a lot of instances of where the wood is rotting, which is again causing the siding to fall off. We can go through the next few slides here. Some additional examples of deterioration and rot in the structure of the house. This is where a porch was torn off the back. This has all occurred before we purchased the property. There's some interior photos, just some examples of the safety issues that exist. On the left, you can see where an addition was added and a new beam was put in, and then I believe the wall was taken out afterwards. And so there's just a beam ending and a new one beginning with no support. The house is open to elements in multiple locations where siding is missing and things have rotted out, and there are no stairs to the basement, just a big hole in the floor. These are just some snippets from the structural report. I won't read them all to you today, but I did include the full report in my materials that I submitted. Can move on, please. The second reason I want to dive into is the Landmarks Commission and how I feel that it violates its own rules. So this quote on this slide here is directly taken from the Landmarks Commission process regarding applications for a certificate of appropriateness demolition, section 161.05. And if you'll notice where I highlighted, it does say that if the environmental change proposed by the applicant, which would be demolition, will remedy conditions imminently dangerous to life, health, or property as determined in writing by the Division of Building and Housing, then the commission shall issue a certificate of appropriateness. So if we move on to the next slide, you can see that the condemnation notice that I have, which is from the Department of Building and Housing, does say that this constitutes an imminent danger and peril to human life and public health, safety, and welfare, and that it constitutes an emergency. So basically, this is the exact thing that was described in the Landmarks Commission regulations, which did state that in that case, the certificate of appropriateness for demolition should have been approved. So I do believe that they voted in violation of their own rules. The third reason is that I don't feel that renovation, which is what the Landmarks Commission would prefer that we do, is economically viable. They did ask me to obtain a quote for renovation. This is the quote that I obtained. It is $1.2 million, which is not funds that my husband and I have. I also don't believe that any developer or any other person wanting to live there would have this amount of money to invest in a property where the return value is not going to be equal to the amount invested. So if we can move to the next slide, just as a comparison, the house directly next door, which is actually larger than our house, was renovated last year. It sold for $690,000. So I believe if we were to renovate the existing structure, it would probably be worth somewhere in the same realm of $700,000. And to say that we should be investing $1.2 million to create a home worth $700,000, and that's not even counting the amount of money that we've already invested to purchase the property. That's in my mind, and I think most people would agree that would be ridiculous to throw that much money away. We can move on to the next slide. This is just another snippet from the structural engineer's report, which I believe supports the cost estimate that we received. Several Landmarks Commission members felt that the estimate was inflated, but I believe if you look through the report and the extensive repairs that would be needed, basically would have to rebuild the entire house. I do think that they would be quite costly. You can move on to the next slide. This is also from the structural engineer's report saying that rebuild of the home may be necessary to restore the home for structural serviceability and safety measures. We can move on. This is a piece of a letter that was written to the Landmarks Commission from the direct neighbor, who I believe is going to be speaking later. And he also is supporting the fact that it would not be economically feasible to renovate. He had his contractor look at it as well and also came to the same conclusion. Following slide, please. I want to quickly point out the ownership history of this house. It belonged to Maria Torres for a long time until she sold. I don't know the exact circumstances there, but it was sold to DMF Land LLC. So 3 of these previous owners are all LLCs. They sold to Akron Dream Homes. Akron Dream Homes sold to Humble Ventures. All of these LLCs owned it for approximately a year before selling. And none of them were able to renovate successfully. Obviously, at least one or more started because the interior of the house has been largely gutted. And yet they all gave up on it. And one of them even sold the property at a loss. So I do feel like if it were feasible to renovate, one of these companies would have done it by now. Lastly, I would like to point out a quote from Landmarks Commission member Bob Strickland. So he did eventually vote to deny the demolition, but I believe that there was also some peer pressure with the rest of the committee feeling this way. He originally said, and this is all a direct quote taken from the meeting, you can watch the YouTube video. He originally said that he would support demolition and that he does not think that it would be economically feasible to rehab the structure given the square footage. And you can see the quote there on the screen. I also want to point out that he was the only Landmarks Commission member who actually attended the site visit and saw the house in person. So the other members felt that there was not enough evidence to show that the house was deteriorated enough to warrant demolition. However, none of them had actually attended the site visit and seen the condition of the property. We can move on to the next slide. My 4th and final reason is that the neighbors who have to live near this house overwhelmingly support my request to demolish the existing house. Again, this is a snippet from one of the emails that was sent to the Landmarks Commission in support of demolition. I believe that Steve is going to speak as well, so I won't try to speak for him. We can move on. Those are my 4 reasons. I do believe it will help remedy dangerous conditions in the community. I do believe that when you look at the written rules of the Landmarks Commission, it does say that the request to demolish the house should have been granted. Renovation or partial renovation is simply not economically viable. And the neighbors living around here overwhelmingly support demolition. I believe several of them have written letters and several of them are here to speak as well today. Thank you very much for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. I'll turn to you. Do you want to go next or do you want me to call in the neighbors first?
The neighbors can give their statements.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I will call on you in the order that you swore in. I'll start first with Joanne Gretter.
As I said, I'm just here to answer questions. I don't have a presentation. Obviously, I support demolition. The house is in terrible condition. It needs to be removed so something worthwhile can be built there.
Okay, thank you. I'll go next to Deb Wright.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stacy presented the case extremely well. I don't live on Clinton. I'm kind of right behind Clinton, but that home is, as everyone has already said, in terrible, terrible condition. And I think it's quite telling that only one member of the Landmarks Council had the time or took the effort to go actually physically inspect it. Because if you're just looking at photos, I don't think it really does justice. On top of the fact, the biggest danger for us as neighbors is just the amount of kids. You know, Garrett Morgan High School is right across the street. Those students are breaking into that home on a regular basis, and you can see the graffiti on the wall. The other day, one of our neighbors took a picture or video of some homeless gentlemen going into that home. And there's a lot of children on this street that, you know, people like that could present a danger to small children, you know, playing in the area. It's just, it's a nuisance, it's a hazard, and it's a danger to the entire street, which there have been some very, very nice houses put up as far as improving the overall street. And the house that Stacy had in her presentation, I don't know if it would be possible to see pictures of that house before it was redone, but that house was in significantly better condition than the one that they're proposing to demolish, as well as the house on the corner of 45th and Clinton, which has been under repair for quite a long time, but it also was in much better structural condition than the one that Stacy is needing and wanting to demolish. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I will now move to the next person on my list. That is Stephen Sioka. Hope I said that right?
Yep, yeah, you got it.
Perfect.
Yeah,
All right,
so-
I'm setting the clock for 2 minutes.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So I think Stacy and Deb kind of hit on most of the points that I was going to say, but just to kind of level set, I live in the house directly to the west at 4604, which Stacy shared in her presentation. Our house, when we bought it, had been gutted essentially directly after it was sold from the previous owner. So it hadn't sat abandoned for 3 years like Stacy's house has. So we were able to rehab our house. Being directly to the west, we see the house every day in the condition that it's in. It's pretty deplorable in its current state. And we do think that it does pose a safety concern. As Deb mentioned, there are a lot of people that kind of come in and out of the house in the middle of the night. Our driveway is connected to the house essentially. So we're kind of afraid to go to our cars in the middle of the night or go take our garbage out when it's dark. I think really the best way to remediate the situation would be for a demolition and a new build, just so it doesn't get sold again by Stacy and we start this whole process all over. I think really, in our view, the Landmark Commission has authority kind of over what the new build would look like. So we trust the Landmark Commission to build or approve a build that would fit in the neighborhood and kind of fit the historic nature of the neighborhood. So I think that's kind of where we stand on it.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll now move to Chris Harrington.
Hi, yeah, thank you for letting me speak here today. I could not agree more with everything that Stacy, Deb, and Steve have said. I live in 4508 Clinton Avenue, which is directly east of the property, a mere few feet away. It's honestly maybe 4 or 5 feet separate our homes. And so, to the extent, and we moved in March 4th, 2021, and the home was in just absolute, disrepair, dilapidation at that time. And it's been 3+ years since, and the condition has gotten even worse than when we first moved in. Our big, from our standpoint, a huge concern is sort of the traffic in and out. To the extent that any activity leaves any sort of lit item and the house catches on fire, it would be our house that catches all the flames coming from it because we're just so close to it. So for us, it absolutely poses a huge a dangerous condition risk to us next door, on top of all the other extremely valid reasons that Stacy, Deb, and Steve mentioned. So that's all I have to say, and I support demolition in full earnest. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's you.
All right, thank you. Xavier, I believe. Thank you. Next slide. So I guess we're here for an administrative appeal. So I just wanted to confirm, and I guess since the law department has stepped out, just to kind of check the legal standard. We're just here today to discuss whether the Landmarks Commission acted under its ordinance authority, if we followed our own rules and procedures and process, or if we acted arbitrarily or capriciously. Is that correct? We're not relitigating the conditions of the case. So there are really 3 options. Either you uphold the decision of the commission, you overturn it, or you remand it back to the Landmarks Commission for, I guess, another evaluation. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Just wanted to make sure I was clear. So we do have a timeline very similar to the appellant's timeline. The property was condemned by Building and Housing May 15th, 2023. May 26th, the owner contacted the city through the Demolition Bureau, I believe, which was eventually kind of made its way routed to us. We did email and discuss the process for gaining an approval for demolition. I think that there's some misrepresentation of those emails or misinterpretation. They were strictly process that was given to her. There were no reassurances that this was just a technicality or, give us a new design and we'll approve a demolition or anything like that. I just reviewed the emails and they were very, very specific and limited to, here are the steps, here's what you need to provide, here's what we'll have, here's how the process works. So then after the condemnation and everything else, the property was purchased by the owner on May 30th. And then on November 13th, 2023, as part of our standard process for demolition, we had a site visit and invited the local design review advisory committee members and Landmarks Commission members. At least 2 Landmarks Commission members were there. One of them may have been late, but I specifically remember at least 2 of them being there, so I'm not sure where the statement that only one was present came from. On November 16th, 2023, the owner's architect made a presentation at a conceptual level to the Ohio City Design Review Committee, that being a conceptual review, so no action was taken. Then on November 30th, 2023, the owner's architect presented the proposed demolition and new construction to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission as a concept, so again, no action was taken. It was during this concept meeting that Mr. Strickland made his comments about, the property or the condition of the property was poor and it might not be worth rehabbing or economically viable to rehab. So that was at a concept level meeting where no vote was taken. Then on March 7th, 2024, the owner's architect presented the proposed demolition to the Ohio City Design Review Committee, and the motion to deny was approved unanimously. March 14th, 2024, the owner's architect presented the demolition to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission, and the motion to deny was also approved unanimously after much discussion. Next slide, please. So just to review, Chapter 161.05, Regulation of Environmental Changes and Certificates of Appropriateness. It establishes the requirement that a certificate of appropriateness for visible exterior changes to designated landmarks or located within a designated district. I'm sorry, there's a bad glare here.
Yeah.
So certificates of appropriateness are issued once a project has been reviewed and are determined on a case-by-case basis. No 2 landmarks or landmark districts are the same. So the commission can issue a certificate of appropriateness if the proposed project will not adversely affect any significant historical or aesthetic feature of the property and is appropriate and consistent with the spirit and purpose of Chapter 161. Typically, by nature, demolition in a historic district causes an adverse effect to historic elements. The commission can find a project to adversely affect a property to be inappropriate and inconsistent with the spirit and purpose of Chapter 161 and deny the application for a certificate of appropriateness or delay action on it. It also states the Landmarks Commission is charged to consider the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation when determining if a project will adversely affect any significant or aesthetic feature of the property designated as a landmark or within a landmark district. The Secretary of the Interior standards are just a set of 10 standards set by the Secretary of the Interior, the National Park Service, used by the federal government, the State Historic Preservation Office, and the Cleveland Landmarks Commission as our kind of guidelines, guiding principles. So kind of the steps or the process for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness. An application has to be submitted either through Building and Housing in form of a permit, or you can make a submission directly to the Landmarks Commission. Landmarks Commission staff reviews the materials provided and determines the process needed for the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness. In this case, since it was a demolition, we scheduled the site visit and decided that it would need to go through concept review before it went for final approval. Different scopes of work require different levels of review. Then the applicant presents their projects for review at the local design review committee. The projects are given a recommendation by the local design review advisory committee, and those are not final actions. They are just recommendations from a group of volunteers in the neighborhood that helps provide additional feedback to the commission. Depending on the scope of the project, Landmark staff can issue a certificate of appropriateness, depending if, on the scale of the project, if it's signage or, windows, something more straightforward. But in this case, the case went to the entire Landmarks Commission. So they presented their project for review by the Landmarks Commission for the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness. And we reiterated the decision to the applicant in writing after the meeting. So there's some photos here from our site visit, November 13th, which, aren't nothing, it's the house is in poor condition. And it is condemned. But I will like to point out that the language in the condemnation order is fairly standard. It doesn't negate the position or authority of the Landmarks Commission. If this was truly an emergency or an imminent threat to life or property, the chief building official would issue an emergency demolition order, which would bypass the Landmarks Commission. So, the condemnation order uses language that I guess is standard language, and it's up to the property owner to either, to abate the nuisance. Typically that means repair the problem. Condemnation order it's the same language in essentially most violation notices, saying you need to fix it or the city will fix it for you. So this project went to concept level review in November 2023. It went to the Ohio City Design Review Committee first. They received some feedback. Then it came to the Landmarks Commission a little later that month, where they received further feedback. As part of our review and our staff report, we give a property history. We found that this is one of the oldest still standing houses on Clinton Avenue. It's obviously been slightly altered, but we tracked it back as far as we could, and there are not many of its era left in the neighborhood, certainly on that street. As part of the commission's review, we also consider public comment. We did receive one phone call during this review in support of the demolition of new construction. We also received an email from Councilman McCormick opposing the demolition, and Ohio City Inc. also issued a letter that was shared by their staff member during the meeting opposing the demolition. So then the final review took place in March of 2024. Again, it went through the local process where they recommended denial of the certificate of appropriateness. And then it came to the Landmarks Commission where, again, the project was ultimately denied after quite a bit of discussion. The applicant was asked if they would be willing to table the project so that they could kind of consider the comments that were made, come back with an alternate proposal. They opted not to and asked to move forward with essentially a yes or no vote. So the commission voted to deny demolition. There had been a lot of discussion from the commission members about the idea of a partial demoing the back, keeping the front, something we've seen fairly often throughout the years in Ohio City. They weren't interested in that and just wanted to move forward with full demolition and new construction on the site. So just a few points just to respond to some things in the applicant's or the appellant's presentation. I don't contest that the property is in poor condition. It was already condemned when the applicant purchased the property, and it is the responsibility of the owner to maintain the property in a safe and secure manner. If there are things going on in that property, people coming in and out of it, that's the property owner's responsibility to keep it boarded, safe, and secure. The city sometimes will take care of that and charge the homeowner, but we can't, we rely on property owners to take care of their own property and not just, hope they can demo it when they purchase it. The commission did not violate its own rules. Well, the condemnation notice from Building and Housing uses some language that may be confusing and sound like it's an emergency demolition. This is not an emergency demolition. It still requires a certificate of appropriateness from the Landmarks Commission. And the Landmarks Commission recommended a partial demolition, and this was rebuffed by the owner. The appellant was also asked if the commission could table the item for further exploration, and the appellant denied the request and asked to move forward with the vote. There's overwhelming support from neighboring property owners. Seems like a broad statement. I know we have a few people here today who are supportive of it, but we've also received those letters from Ohio City Incorporated, the local CDC, and the council member opposing the demolition. So it's my feeling that we did in fact act under our ordinance authority. We did follow our own rules and process, and we did not act arbitrarily and capriciously.
Thank you. So at this time, I will, I see Stacy's hand raised. Does she have another opportunity to speak or do we?
Yes, I can say.
Yes, okay. We'll turn it back over to you, Ms. Morse.
Thank you. I would like to respond to several of the points that Mr. Musson has made. First of all, for the three questions, number one being, did they follow their own rules? I believe we have different opinions on that. When you look at the part of the rules, which I included on my slides, it does say if the commission finds that the environmental change proposed by the applicant will remedy conditions imminently dangerous to life, health, or property as determined in writing by the Division of Housing, then this commission shall issue a certificate of appropriateness, which they did not do. I understand his point that the condemnation notice, as he claims, was standard language and not an emergency order. However, that standard language specifically used the words imminent danger and emergency. And those are the same words used in the rules. So I understand maybe that's how it's been done in the past, is only if there's an emergency order. But that condemnation notice is a legal document. And whether or not that's the standard language that they use for other instances, it appears in that document. And that is a legal document. And it matches the conditions that are stipulated in the Landmarks Commission's own rules and regulations. I'd also like to point out, he made the point that demolition often adversely affects historic elements of the neighborhood. I do not believe that to be the case in this situation, because the house that we are expecting to, or hoping to demolish is, in my opinion, not historically significant or aesthetically significant. There are no architectural details that are really in any way significant or contributing to the history of the neighborhood. It's a very plain looking house. He also mentioned part of the rules which say that they want to protect or not allow for demolition of significant or aesthetic features of the property. I would argue, I don't feel that this property has any significant historical or aesthetic features. It doesn't have any of the ornate detailing that you see in houses of that time period. It doesn't have any beautiful stained glass or intricately carved porch railings or bay windows. It doesn't have any of those special features that make a historic home really worth saving. I'm not opposed to saving historic homes that have value for the neighborhood. I don't feel that this house has value for the neighborhood. And that argument wasn't even made in the commission meetings that I was in with the Landmarks Commission. Their argument was simply that the house is old. And I don't feel that just anything in the world that is old is inherently worth saving if it doesn't have any additional value other than age. Mr. Musson also mentioned that he refuted my claim of overwhelming support from the neighbors. I was referring to neighbors who actually live near this property and have to see it on a daily basis and have to deal with the, as was mentioned, kids breaking in, homeless people, safety issues for the children that live in this neighborhood, the fire hazard. All of those issues are things that these neighbors deal with, and they are all in support of demolition. The people that we heard, that the Landmarks Commission heard from who were opposed to demolition, or a council member. I don't know exactly where he lives, but I'm sure it's not on this block of Clinton. And the Ohio City Inc., which again, I don't know where all of those people live, but I don't think any of them live directly next to this house. The neighbors who live next to this house would like to see the dangerous conditions remedied. And I can do that through demolition. The Landmarks Commission guidelines simply say that I should be that the certificate of appropriateness shall be issued if I can remedy the dangerous conditions. It doesn't say it has to be through renovation or partial renovation. I know that's the preference of the Landmarks Commission, but that is not written in the rules. There's nowhere in the rules that say I absolutely cannot demolish a house in a historic district. I would also say, in terms of the question about arbitrary or capriciously, I do feel that some of the commission members were a bit capricious in that they did initially say they would support demolition, and then at the second meeting changed their minds and voted against it. And I do feel it's a bit arbitrary because I've reviewed other Landmarks Commission meetings in which houses of a similar age in the same historic district were approved for demolition. And it seems to be their major argument for not allowing mine to be demolished was simply that it's old. And other ones of a similar age have been approved for demolition. So I believe that to be arbitrary and capricious as well.
Okay, thank you so much. I will now turn to board members for questions. Member Holzer, Member Roca, any questions from either of you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to state that the Landmarks Commission has the very important task of applying the Secretary of Interior standards to historic homes and historic districts for a reason. But for commissions like the Landmarks Commission, we would not have historic districts, we would not have historic homes. I know that the testimony from Ms. Morse today is that she disagrees with the Landmarks decision and disagrees with their evaluation of this home needing to be saved because it's old or doesn't have, and she believes it doesn't have historic features, but that's part of the Landmarks purview, and that's what they do. And what this board is tasked with doing is a very narrow question and a very high legal standard. The narrow question is, did the Landmarks Commission act illegally, arbitrarily, capriciously, when they rendered a decision about this historic home in this historic district? I walk by this house every day. I agree with the appellant. It is in poor condition. As is the case with many, many homes in historic districts. A lot of the homes are in poor condition, which is why we have a commission like the Landmarks Commission to evaluate in our local design review, to evaluate whether homes can be saved or whether they should be demolished. And with a condemnation order, many homes are condemned, but that does not necessarily mean that there's an order mandating that they be demolished, which is what the Landmarks Commission explained to Ms. Morse during their hearing. So I think the narrow question that we have before us today is, did the Landmarks Commission act illegally? And I'm prepared to move forward with a vote.
Okay, Member Holzer, any questions from you?
I don't have anything to add, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion, Madam Member Roca.
Madam Chair, upon hearing the testimony from all of the, from the appellant, or excuse me, the appellant, and from the Landmarks Commission, and from adjoining neighbors, I move that we deny the request of the appellant in BZA number 24-063.
Okay, is there a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Okay, can you call the roll for us, Madam Secretary?
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Calendar number 24-063 is denied. Decision of the Landmarks Commission has been upheld. We will ratify this next Monday and we will send the appellant a letter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day. All right, we will call the next matter, please. Member Hoser, when you're ready to read that in.
Our next case is calendar number 24-067. This is at 2115-2221 East 90th Street and 2212-2222 East 93rd Street. These are to be consolidated. Nurse Housing LLC and prospective purchaser Circle Properties proposed to erect 3 new 3-story multi-unit buildings with 12 units in each building, parenthetically 36 total units, in a 2-family residential district and multifamily residential district. The applicant appeals freely from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you. We do have one person in the room, Member Roca.
Great, thank you. We'll start with that person in the room. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, and state your name and spell it for the record.
I do. I'm Kevin O'Malley with MPG Architects at 3660 Embassy Parkway, Akron, Ohio. Last name is O''M''ALIA.
Is there anyone else in the room for this matter? All right, that's our only person here in person, Member Roca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there anyone on the call that would wish to speak today?
Yes, Jonathan Schaefer for Circle Nurse Housing, SCHAEFER.
Thank you. You need to say that you do, confirming that you swear to tell the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Anyone else on the call?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I do. Iris Franklin, 2206 East 93rd Street.
Thank you, Ms. Franklin. Anyone else on the call?
Yes. Lavita Parker, representing Council President Blaine Griffin, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Anyone else on the call? All right, thank you very much. Madam Chair, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I will now turn it over to Madam Secretary to give the history of the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office for the addresses of 2115 through 2221 East 90th Street, we found that in 1974, a permit was issued to demolish a 2-family dwelling. And in 1980, a permit was issued to demolish a single-family dwelling. For the addresses of 2212 through 2222 East 93rd Street, we found that in 1892, a permit was issued to erect a single-family dwelling on this property, and that in 1969, there was a violation notice on the property, and a permit was issued to correct those violations on an 8-unit multifamily structure. There are no variances on file. And then in the more recent history, we did find for the address of 2212 East 93rd Street that a rental registration renewal as well as a lead safe certificate were applied for, and that was in February of 2023. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will now turn for the legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Commons is requesting a use variance and an area variance from parking requirements to zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in unnecessary hardship to the owners of the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose intended for the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, thank you. I will now turn to you. Go ahead and present your case.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for everyone's time. I'll try to keep this short so we can move things through quickly.
Thank you.
So as you're flipping through the context photos here, we are taking three parcels on the short side, which is the west facing down on that aerial plan, and then 4 parcels on the east side towards 93rd Street. So please keep flipping through there. So this is the proposed site plan. You can see there are 3 buildings, 2 on East 93rd, 1 on East 90th, with an outline of a proposed future building if we can get another parcel down the road there. We currently have a lot consolidation plan, so this is all consolidated together, but it's a little in between. That's why we need the zoning variance, because half of it's single family, half of it's, I believe, multifamily currently. So yeah, we need that variance to be able to build these multifamily apartment buildings. So as was stated, each building has 4 units on each floor with 3 floors in each building. So that gives us 36 units total for a site, which is kind of nice for a mid-density housing development on such a small site. But as you'll see in the 3D photos later in the elevations, it sticks with the character of the community aesthetically. So this is a landscape. Oh, please go back. Yep, so landscape plan. So we do have a small parking lot in the middle of the site, so it's not really visible from the street. And then we've lined it with arborvitaes for year-round screening on the north and south side from the neighboring properties. And that brings up the second variance, which is for reduced parking, which was actually something that the design review committee and the planning commission requested us to do. They were in favor of not having a giant parking lot, as would be prescribed by the code. We would have to have 36 spaces, essentially, 1 for each unit here. And they didn't think that fit with the the character of the neighborhood, having a parking lot that large. And the fact that this is basically walking distance from both the Cleveland Clinic campus and University Circle area with all those amenities. So we're expecting a lot of people to not actually use cars in this kind of lower to middle income housing development. So let's keep flipping through, please. That's the tree preservation plan. There's the architectural site plan, just basically the same thing, just a little easier to read in the civil drawings. Kind of shows you better detail where the sidewalks are in relation to the parking and the entrances to the buildings. Something that allowed us to keep the unique residential character is we raised the buildings up a couple feet in the air. So they're basically in a plinth, no basement, but just keeping them up with so they can have porches on the front and the back to match the neighboring houses. And then we have a side entrance into each building that provides the accessible entry into the central corridor. So the units on the first floor are all accessible to someone with disabilities, even though we have those porches aesthetically on the buildings. And we achieve that by having slopes on the sidewalks leading to the side entrances. Next, please. And then here's a floor plan. Not sure we're gonna get into much detail on these, but so same basic layout, but little tweaks floor to floor so we can have these elements kind of switching back and forth on the outside, as you can see here, where we have a kind of full porch and then half porch, and then having the return gable on that kind of 1.5-story space, and then the full gables with the shakes on the 2-story gables that face the road and the parking lot. And then on the side, we have a little character with the awnings and the side entry there. And we're trying to keep it, we tried to select materials for the siding that matched the neighborhood. So we had kind of this pale slatish blue, pale yellow, and then on the next page, we have 2 other options, cream and then a kind of light brownish beige. If you keep scrolling, I think there might be more context photos. No, that's the end. So thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? I believe I had Jonathan Schaefer on the list as well.
Yeah, I think Kevin summed up our presentation very well there. We've been working with the city throughout, and I think we did exactly what they wanted us to do. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Iris Franklin,
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So I just wanted to make a couple of comments. Today's the first time that I'm seeing the site plans and the drawings, which look a little better than I was afraid that they might look. But our concern is we own the house next door to the project. So our concern is the fact that they're wanting to have 3 stories. I'm concerned that that doesn't go along with the neighborhood, and I'm not sure why they need to have 3 stories instead of 2 like most of the other houses have. My concern is, as they had stated, is preserving the architectural integrity and style, and that this is a residential community. And my concern is that having, 36 units is a lot of people. And I'm glad that they're, proposing to reduce the number of cars there. But again, I'm concerned about traffic flow, people, having that many units there in that, sort of close space may negatively impact the other homes in the area in terms of, people hanging out, or I'm not sure what, what kind of tenants they will have, but having, so many cars on a residential street, concerned about congestion and noise levels and speed that could potentially affect, the value of other properties. I think at this time, because the structure is not already built, is an opportune time to really look at whether this is the best use or the best way to construct those properties. And I don't think that the houses that are there right now are in any, condition needing demolition or anything like that. In fact, I think the one next to us, someone had put a lot of money in fixing it up, and it looks actually pretty nice. But again, my main concerns would be keeping the character of the neighborhood and trying to keep it more, family-oriented, small, residential, rather than having a big apartment complex in the middle of the block that would bring extra cars and a lot of people to the area. So just concerned about the safety of that and the negative impact on that street, which is kind of a side street, so it's not like a main thoroughfare. So those would be my main concerns.
Okay, thank you so much. I will next turn to Levita Parker.
Can I respond, or do you want?
Good morning. Wanted to let you know, good morning. Want to let you know how Council President feels about this project. He supports this project wholeheartedly. Both areas of 2115 that to 2221 East 90th Street and 2212 to 2222 East 93rd Street. He supports this, and he encouraged the developers to buy more properties in the area, the extra lots that they're trying to buy. He encouraged that. So just wanted to let you know, Council President supports this project.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your comment. I'll turn back to you. I understand you wanted to respond.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that we tried to keep it to look more like a 2.5 story. So the top floor, they're dormered. So it's kind of hard to see there, maybe in the 3D view. Yep, so if you can see the windows are on the side gable, they're basically the ceiling height goes up inside of that gable. So you have some bolts on that top floor. So it looks more like an attic space with windows than an actual 3rd floor in the building.
Okay.
And then as far as the demolition, we went through that with the planning commission, and they were in favor after we showed them the photos of the existing properties of demolishing the houses.
All right, I see Mr. Schaefer, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to state, it's incorrect to say that they're 2 stories right now. The house, one of the houses we're tearing down is 3 stories. We worked hand in hand with the city to come up with a plan to make sure that this plan does not look anything different than the neighborhood now. We work with the neighborhood group. I'm happy to have a conversation with Ms. Franklin and talk to her about the plan in more detail, but we spent a lot of time and effort, and candidly, we could have come up with a less expensive building if we just had one building, but we did it this way so that it didn't disrupt the neighborhood.
Okay, any questions from board members? Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. I would turn to city planning for a comment.
I'll allow Kim Scott, the neighborhood plan for the area to.
City planning.
Okay.
Yes,
We may need to swear you in. Did you swear in? Okay, do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give is true?
Very good.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you. We worked with this development project and the developer to try to get something that would be very attractive for this neighborhood, for the street. And there were several iterations. So from where we started to where we are today, it's been a vast improvement. This has gone through the design review process. It was approved. And so city planning is very much in support of this project.
Thank you so much. I see another hand. Ms. Franklin, I'll give you another 60 seconds to make additional comment.
I just wanted to clarify with Mr. Schaefer. So are you saying that the new buildings would be about the same height as the buildings that are there currently?
I think that Kevin can speak to this better, but I think it's pretty similar.
Do you want to respond?
Madam Chair, there is no issue with the height. The zoning code allows the height. Otherwise, we would see a variance needed for that in the description. So the height is within the code requirements.
All right, do we have any correspondence?
No, I do not. Thanks.
No correspondence. Okay, any questions from Member Roca or Holst? All right, I will entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you gonna ask a question?
I was just gonna say no questions for me, Madam Chair, but I can also move forward with the motion.
Please do.
Great. Thank you. Based on the testimony we've heard today from the appellant, the adjacent neighbors, and the city, I move that we approve calendar number 24-067.
Okay, is there a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
All right, call the roll.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Calendar 24-067 is granted. We will ratify it next week. We will send you a letter, but please feel free to contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right, we will call the next case, please, Ms. Holzer.
Our next case is calendar number 24-069. This is at 7202 Hague Road. Travis Tomlinson, owner, proposes to establish use as a motor vehicle service garage in a C1 General Retail Business District. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roque for the oath.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll ask everyone who wishes to speak in this matter to come to the table. So far, we do have 2 people at the table. Ms. Roque, if you want to swear them in.
Thank you. For those in the room, I will be swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with "I do," and state your name and spell your name for the record.
We'll start with you.
I do, Travis Tomlinson.
Okay. Next.
We didn't get Mr. Tomlinson's address.
My business address?
Yes, please.
7043 Suite 250. I'm sorry, 7043 Pearl Road, Suite 250, Middleburg Heights, Ohio 44130. I just moved there a month ago, so still getting it done.
Thank you.
Good. Go ahead.
You want me to start about what I have to say?
No, I just want you to tell us your name. What's your name?
Euvidio Rodriguez.
Oh, you've got to spell that for us, please.
Euvidio.
Okay. And then Rodriguez?
Yes,
All right. And what's your address?
2175 West 73rd, Cleveland, Ohio 44102.
Okay. And do you swear that you will tell the truth?
What?
Okay. Very good. Thank you. We'll turn to those of you who are online and wish to swear in, Ms. Roca.
Thank you. Is there anyone online for this case who'd like to speak in this matter?
Good morning, Nate Law. I do Cleveland City Planning, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Thank you. Anyone else on the call? Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will ask for history of the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You may have received this in your packet, that this is a repeat variance. The appellant is requesting the exact variance that was granted on November 21st, 2022. He used the exact same drawings and everything, and it's the same owner. There were conditions made on the variance here. The board granted the variance with the condition that a solid 6-foot tall fence will be installed to screen the adjacent residential property as shown on the revised final site plan. That was received on November 11th, 2022. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the minimum distance and landscape requirements of the zoning code. To obtain use variance, appellant must prove that denying request results in unnecessary hardship for the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without variance. The property will have substantial property rights. The grant of variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request create practical difficulty not generally shared by the land or buildings in the same district. Will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the grant of the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. All right, I'll start with you. You want to tell us what you're going to do here?
Yeah, so like Ms. Kukla had explained, this was approved a while back, and then the one condition was not met. I ultimately bear responsibility for that. I was trying to accommodate a subleased tenant that was placed in there without my knowledge in order to operate this business. I have tried to lease this property to other type of businesses, and since it's general retail zoned, unsuccessfully able to get any type of retail business in this property. It's built basically as a shop, and this type of business seems to this building seems to accommodate this type of business, and retail is really not a feasible option in this structure. Like was previously said, the condition that was not met was a 6-foot fence. I had submitted all the drawings in order to accommodate this. And I'm asking for the variance to be reapproved as it had been previously.
Okay. I will turn to you next. What's your comment?
My comment is that the first time we go to a meeting was right there on 7202. And over there was the consulman, the lady, the one it is now. And we go to a meeting with a lot of people. And you was there, right? That's the
Yep.
Where it is your friend, the one have the factory on 7233, the one with the sale.
I'm going to have you focus your comments on what you intend to say about this request he's making today.
Okay, but excuse me, I know another person that was the one who go to my door for me to accept what they was going to do in that place. Like the mechanic stuff, the mechanic garage. And You have the fan over here, right there. I saw it. Can you put it back again? The fan was there, the property over here in the picture,
Okay.
right there. You see the fan over there, all the wood, it is on the cement with the nails up. And they said to the councilman that they was going to make that fan by the time they was going to do the mechanical work over there. Now, he never tried to talk to me when I tried to talk to your partner. The 172 or 33, that's your partner. He's the one bring me there. And you was there. And the councilman was there. And now they promised that they was going to put the 6-foot fan all the way from here to the building they have over there. Now, that never happened. That happened 3 years ago when we go to the meeting. Now, I talked to his partner about the fan over there many times. I told him, when you going to put the fan over there? Oh, I have to go to the downtown to get the permit. I said, how? They have everything over there. Only you have to go there and pay for the permit, and they let you put the fan. Oh, okay. I want to do that. I want to do that. 3 years later, there it is the fan. Spoiled on the cement because I guess they are scared to put the fan because after they put the fence, they're going to have no room or 2 inches, 2 feet from the building over there to my property, 2 feet. Now, over here, where it is my house, that's my house, they're supposed to do that. They never do that. I begging his partner, that he said he's not his partner, but it is. And he was the one who go to my door to knocking, hey, we want to go with the mechanic stuff over there, what you say? And they, well, you know, I don't know what was going on after that, you know? And
Okay, you've reached your time limit to speak. Is there one final word you wish to make?
well, let me see. Okay, we are sick. I am sick. Our neighbors are sick. The mechanic shop don't work out good because they threw everything, tires, car parts, all the way around the building on this place here, and they make a hole like this on the wall over there, and they put a fan, and they are not doing mechanic. They are doing mechanic, but they are doing it is body shop, painting cars, and then they have no place to put the chemical stuff to go up or whatever because they cannot do that. But they make a hole, put a fan, and all those chemicals go to my house. And the other day when I was going to go to the store, I get out and all the chemical hit me.
Okay.
And made me sick. And I have my dogs, and they start coughing too. The chemical burn the tree. It is behind where they put the hole on this side by my property. A big hole like that with the fence, throwing all that chemical over there. They don't supposed to be painting cars over there. And the noise of the mechanic stuff, it is too loud.
Okay, got you.
We cannot receive that, and we don't want this no more over there. We want a residential place.
Okay, all right, I will include your comments at this time.
And with fan or no fan, we don't want that over there. The garage. It's not good. And they never talk to me after that, never. Him, I have his name, his telephone number over here, his name too, look. Right here. You wanna see it?
I can see it. Thank you so much, Mr. Rodriguez.
That's his name.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the next commenter, okay? Thank you so much for your comments.
I'll respond
Briefly.
briefly. The person that Mr. Rodriguez is referring to is a previous tenant named Anthony Kovach. That was how this originally had started out. He's no longer a tenant there. I share the sentiment and frustration with the fence not being built. That's why we're here for a second time. This property is currently under contract. The tenant that was here previously is no longer there. It's currently under contract for owner operator. And part of the condition is that this variance go through.
Okay, understood.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Go right ahead.
The testimony that was given at the last hearing, the appellant stated that only minor repairs will take place in the building, no auto body repair or similar complicated or noisy uses. The hours of operation would be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The appellant stated that he met with the community group and the councilwoman and gained their support. And the appellant agreed to put the solid 6-foot tall fence up. So if you would like to confirm with the appellant that those are the same agrees to the same testimony or conditions.
Okay, so let's talk through that. So are you only doing minor repairs or your tenant?
I was unaware that if there was anything that was not in compliance with that, I was not aware of that. Like I said, that tenant is no longer in that structure currently. And this, like I said, this is for an owner operator tenant, not tenant, owner that is currently under contract that wants to buy this property and run a shop in compliance with all of these.
So he would run the shop.
In compliance.
There's only minor
Correct.
repairs that
Correct.
would be permitted, and then the hours of operations would only be 8 to 5.
Correct.
Okay.
He's aware of all these conditions.
Very good. Okay. All right. I'm going to go to Mr. Lowe. Do you want to chime in here, please?
Thank you, Chair members. Nate Law with Cleveland City Planning, representing City Planning on this case. So we don't object to the variances, granting the variances today. It is a regrant or a rehearing of a previous case, and due to the unique shape and size of the parcel, some of the requirements just unfortunately can't really feasibly be met. We would condition our support on the 6-foot fence on any land that adjoins the residential district. And we'd also like the applicant to explore looking at fencing on the West 73rd facing side of the street. As our code section 352.08 points out, a 6-foot frontage landscaping strip is required where the lot abuts a street. 10-foot landscaping transition is required where a property abuts a residential district. Understanding that this can't feasibly be met due to the size of the parcel, we'd still like some sort of buffer, whether it's fence or landscaping, to adjoin the West 73rd side of the street. We do have a problem in the city with, in general, with motor vehicle repair and used car lots often parking their cars in the public right-of-way where there's no, exact the right-of-way and the parking lot. And so I think to remedy this, again, either landscaping or fencing on the West 73rd side is really important to protect that public right-of-way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions from board members?
Yes, Madam Chair. I have a question. So, to the appellant, through the chair, are you, in your arrangement with the new owner, it sounds like you're testifying that someone is purchasing this property. Are you going to inform them of the conditions that are going to potentially be imposed? What I would like to see is to make sure that whoever's buying this property knows that they have to meet certain conditions to operate this function at this location.
Yeah, so part of the contract as it's written is I have to go through full compliance before they'll purchase the property. So I have to install this fence. The gentleman from the planning commission where he's talking about on the West 73rd site, in front of this red truck that you see, there's 16 inches between the sidewalk and the structure. If that, would be preferred to be landscaped in that location, I have no issue doing that as well.
Okay, great. And just for our edification, the reason that this wasn't done already, I mean, you're coming to us for a second time, and I guess I'm trying to understand why it didn't happen the first time around.
So this was originally leased to a gentleman who had subleased this to an auto repair shop, and I had received the fine. I had gone through the process of coming down here and getting this approved. He was going to put up the fence, and he never fell through that. Ultimately, it's my responsibility as a property owner to get that done, and I take all responsibility for that not being done. And like I said, I guess I relied on the wrong person to complete the project. Ultimately, that falls on me. My motivation here is to sell this property and get this fence and any other requirements done as fast as possible.
Okay, great. Well, and our motivation is to make sure that, when we issue a ruling that it actually happens. So we appreciate your candor and that you are motivated to implement these conditions if we are to approve your variance today.
Thank you, Member Roca. Anything from you, Ms. Holzer? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. We're moving to vote on the project.
Yeah, but let me talk. I am here for 3 hours because I came here to make the complaint clear how it is.
Yes, and we've heard your complaints.
Yeah, but I want to tell you, I live here in my property for 20 years.
Okay.
And I know the first owner over here on that property, and I told that owner, hey, put the fence over here, or I put the fence. And he said, no, because if we put the fence, I'm going to have no place to go over there to the people with the electric. They cannot go over there because if we put the fence, we're going to have no room over there because the property is too close to my property. Because what? Because the long time, they try to grab all the property he can because he's supposed to move that building down, not put it so close to my property.
So right now, what we're hearing about is related to a fence. So we're going to entertain now a motion from the board members to make a decision about whether this will be permissible. Do I have someone who is willing to make a motion here?
Yes, Madam Chair, I can make a motion.
Please.
We want that residential, no more that smell of oil, the smell of the chemical from the painting, all that. I am disabled. I am disabled for 40 years. I have a broken leg, plus I suffer from my heart.
Your neighbor is here and he's very much willing to work with you with your concerns.
See, I use this for the pain in my heart. I cannot get that kind of chemicals.
Yes, that use is prohibited, so there should be no issue there.
Over my yard and go inside my house. The other day I told the one was working, I said, hey, you're killing me. He said, go and close all the
Mr.
doors.
Rodriguez, I'm gonna pause your comments at this time. We
Okay,
have to move
go
on,
ahead.
okay? Thank you so much. I'll entertain the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the testimony you've heard today from the appellant, the adjoining neighbors, and also the documents in the record, I move that we approve calendar number 24-069 with the conditions that were stated in the previous approval. And I would like to add one new condition, that there be a buffer of landscaping or of landscaping on the west 73rd side of the street to screen that area.
Thank you, Ms. Roca. Is there a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
All right, call the roll.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Calendar number 24-069 is granted. We will make sure that the condition of no painting automobiles will make it into the record.
And no mechanic stuff.
And also, Madam
Yes,
Chair,
minor
the
repairs.
screening
No
that's been.
mechanic, because make it too much noise. The neighbor over there, I was today over there, they said, oh. And they have a person with a wheelchair and all that. They are very sick. And me, I am sick too. I suffer from my heart and all that. We cannot get all that noise from the hammering and
Is there someone he should call if that should happen?
Yes, Madam Chair, I believe he can make complaints to, there are inspectors, possibly building and housing.
Okay, so if you have any issues, contact the Department of Building and Housing and let them know that there are
The
problems, okay?
telephone I have here, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you, lady. Mira, thank you.
Ms. Holzer, you can proceed with the next case, please.
I wanna see the other partner he has, yeah, but he's hiding.
All right.
Madam Chair or Ms. Kukla, before Ms. Holzer proceeds, does Ms. Holzer, do you still have a 12:30 hard stop?
I do.
Ms. Kukla, can you speak to, if we get through half this case and Ms. Holzer needs to speak?
I see what you're saying.
Everybody here, understand my
So, Madam Chair, this is unusual. We do have to halt the hearing once Ms. Holzer leaves, and I understand what Ms. Roca is saying. Should we start testimony in the middle of a case? This was unexpected. We weren't aware that that one of our board members would not be in. We know that she's had some health concerns, so we're hoping that it's nothing serious. So, I understand Ms. Roca's concern. I guess I would leave it to the board. Should we close the hearing at this time?
Oh, that's difficult. I mean,
We will
we don't
not.
have very many people here, so I don't know how quickly we can get through. I think we should try maybe one more case. I mean, people have been waiting for quite some time. Are you okay with that, Ms. Holzer?
I am.
Okay, let's see if we can get through it
We did
quickly.
have somebody raise their hand. Ms. Dyer, is that who raised her hand? Or is
Mrs.
that-
Starr has her hand raised. I don't know who she is.
I don't see
I don't know
her.
who that is either. Ms. Starr, you have your hand raised? I don't
Could
know.
be an accident. That's
Yeah,
just-
it probably is.
Yep,
She would have
thank you.
said something. Go ahead, Ms. Holzer. Let's read this in, please.
All right, our next case is calendar number 24-070. This is at 7413 Lockyer Avenue. Yetta Peak owner proposes to use an existing single-family residence as a type A home daycare for a maximum of 12 children in a B12 family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. That I will hand over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you. We just have one person in the room. Anyone else wishing to speak in this matter, please move forward to the table. We'll swear you in. Let's go ahead and read the oath, Ms. Roca, please.
Great, thank you. To all who are in the room, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, state your name and spell it for the record.
I do. My name is Yetta Peak, YETTA PEEK. My address is 7413 Lockyer, Cleveland, Ohio 44103.
Thank you.
Ariel Washington, I do, ARIEL Washington, 601 Lakeside Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you. Is there anyone online wishing to speak in this matter? All right, I don't hear anything. I'm gonna go ahead and have you, I'm sorry, history of the property.
Just very quickly, no change in the zoning, no variances on file, and this structure was built in 1900.
All right, legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Health is requesting use variance and an area variance from minimum distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, Pelham must prove the time for request will result in unnecessary hardship, particular to the property such that there will be no economic consequence to the property without variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granted variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, Pelham must prove that denying the request create practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Go ahead and tell us what you'd like to do, please.
I've received signatures of support from my neighbors
Okay.
surrounding me across the street and adjacent to my property as well on the next street.
Okay, what is it that you're trying to do?
Daycare,
Okay.
which would, we would have 12 children ranging from age 6 weeks to 12-year-old.
Okay, and what are your hours of operation?
7:30 to 5.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say about your project?
Yes, I think it would be very beneficial to the community. It's already a A1 certified daycare,
Okay,
a
so-
Class A.
So you have your licensing from the state and all that good stuff?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Any additional questions, Ms. Roca, Ms. Holzer?
Yes, just the days of the week. I heard 7:30 to 5, but what days of the
Yes,
week?
Monday to Fridays.
Okay. Any comment from you, Ms. Washington?
Here to comment just for city planning that we are in support of the daycare. There are just a few things that we saw in regards to privacy for the children, the fencing. Just wanted to make sure a permit was obtained for that. If slats can be put through the type of fencing that's there, if you could wind like that metal or fabric slats through, so it'll provide some type of privacy for the children from people in the neighborhood. But we are in support of the daycare.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Any correspondence, Ms. Kukla?
No correspondence.
All right.
Definitely.
Anyone prepared to make a motion?
We'll have to look at that, but I'll have to have them look at that to
Yes,
see.
Ms. Holzer, you want to take this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You are muted, Ms. Holder, excuse me.
Yeah, I apologize. I was just listening to see if there was anything else being deliberated. So, having heard testimony from city planning, the appellant, I move approval of calendar number 24-070 with the note that the daycare will be operational from Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I believe there was an additional condition around fencing, making sure that there is appropriate fencing, as noted by city planning. Though I don't believe there's a right up here for fencing, so I don't know if we could add that in as a condition.
I believe, Ms. Holder, there's an existing fence that the city would like to see modified in a way to add additional privacy.
Got it. So with the addition that current fence be updated to guarantee more privacy.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Holzer. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, Board Member Roca, I second.
We call the roll?
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Calendar number 24-070 is granted conditionally. We will
Thank you.
ratify it next Monday and we will send you a letter.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good luck to you.
I think we could do one
We
more.
have, yeah, I was gonna say, we can push it. Let's call the next one.
Yes.
Okay.
We moved that fast. Maybe we could get through all of them. Okay, so our next case is calendar number 24-071. This is at 4505 Broadview Road. Refugee Community Church owner proposes to establish a church and daycare in a C1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland codified ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you. We'll begin with people in the room. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please reply with I do and state and spell your name for the record.
Right. I promise to tell the truth. My name is Don Sallow, S-A-L-L-O-W. My address is 3704 Park Drive, Parma, Ohio, 44134.
Okay, thank you. I believe there's someone online who wishes to swear in, right?
Yes.
Hi. Do you swear or
Kathleen Moser.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Kathleen Moser. I'm here on behalf of Councilwoman Moore.
Can you just say I do and then give the address?
I do. 601 Lakeside Avenue East.
Thank you. Anyone else on the call?
Dawn Sallow.
And do you swear?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. I do. Dawn Sallow, 3704 Park Drive, Parma, 44134.
And then Brooklyn CDC is present, but they are having audio issues. And I'm having speaking issues, so I understand.
Okay, we'll swear them in if they can correct the issues. Can we turn to history of the property, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was zoned general retail business in 1929. 2005, it was changed to local retail business district. We only found in our records administration office that in 1963, a permit was issued to erect a basement addition. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Madam Chair, I'd also state that we have not received any objections to this project. We do have one letter from the councilwoman this morning. I don't want to steal Ms. Moser's thunder, but she did state that she supports the variance. There was a conversation that they had on Friday, I believe, and they worked out some of the kinks. So we have no objections and support from, I believe, the community on the whole.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Can I have the legal standard, please?
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Zoning is requesting an area variance for the parking requirements of the zoning code. Containing area variance problems prove that during the request for clear factual difficulty, not generally shared by the language abilities in the same district, will deprive the opponent of substantial property rights. The granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning.
Thank you. Very speedy. Can you tell us what you're going to do with your property, please?
Yes, but basically what we're trying to do is what's been going on there since 1929. This has been a fully operational church. We took over the property from Broadview Baptist Church, and we're wanting to, there has never been an occupancy permit on this building. So we're in the process of trying to get that occupancy permit. In terms of parking, what we do now, we're a fully functioning church that have services 2-3 times a week, where they're in the building 7 days a week. It's been going on for 6 years. We're just trying to get the permit. So we're trying to explain how we park now, which is basically, you know, across the street, we own that property as well. And we have about 16 spots that people utilize there right now. It's not zoned for anything that's in our future. We also have relationships with Gabe's Restaurant and with True Freedom Ministries where people park. We also run a shuttle because a lot of our people don't drive that go to church. Part two of this is we're trying to get this for the daycare, which is going to be operating in the exact same facility at different times, so that we don't view that there's any parking issues there at all. As well as our side lot there, you see we can fit 4 spots there too. So we just did not submit how we handled parking, and that's what we're here to tell you for now.
Okay, so it says that none are proposed when in fact you do have a few options for parking.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know how many options you have at the Gates lot?
The Gabe's Restaurant itself probably more than covers your 37 spots because that's a full restaurant there. They're not open on Friday nights when our services or Sundays.
Okay.
True Freedom has at least 16 spots.
Okay, very good. And then an additional 17 in your lot
Right.
across the street.
Right.
Okay, Very good.
And like, we've been there, like I said, 3-4 years. So even when we've had to use the street, we've never had a complaint.
Okay, very good. Does that conclude your comments?
Yes.
All right, I will now turn to Dawn. Dawn Sallow, do you have comments you want to share?
I think he covered everything. We have, you know, the lot across that we use. We have several spots in the back and then back up. We've been here, we ourselves have been here since 2017 and never had an issue with parking. So we just want to continue with that.
Very good, thank you. I understand that your audio is now fixed. Maria, you want to give comment?
Yes, please. Do I have to swear in first?
You do have to swear in. Thank you for catching that. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Maria Sharp, 4274 Pearl.
Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, Refuge Church is a great community partner of ours. We haven't heard any complaints about any parking issues that they have had. So we fully support this.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll turn to you now, Ms. Moser. Do you wish to give comment?
Sure. I just want to briefly make sure I accurately represent what the councilwoman sent over this morning. She's stuck in a committee of the whole all day today, so she apologizes that she can't make it, but I will do my best to represent her. We're in support of the parking variance. I was out there myself last week, and it really seems like the parking situation is pretty covered. There's also a lot of street parking available along there. Our office has not received any complaints or reports about parking. I do want to add that for her, her support of this is kind of contingent on the understanding that this occupancy permit, which will be for the church and daycare, is going to be used to come into compliance, or the daycare part of it, as far as state licensing requirements for running a child care facility.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, we are in full agreement with that. I'm trying to get you the names of the organizations we're working with. My wife, Dawn, who is speaking, is the one that does the daycare, but we are working with, I wrote these down. Here we go. Elizabeth Betty Cerati is with Starting Point. That's the consultant that we're working through certification, and we're working with Crystal from ODJFS directly with this. So,
very good.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions from board members?
Yeah.
All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Sorry, this is
Can I
Xavier Page.
make a quick comment?
Hold on one second.
I just wanted to just make a quick moment of this comment. This is Xavier Bay from City Planning. We support the proposed use of this property, especially since we already had agreements with gates and local parking facilities.
Okay, thank you so much. Someone wanted to make an additional comment. Was that you, Ms. Moser? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I did, this was in the letter that was sent over. I did speak with ODJFS this morning, and we're waiting to hear back from Starting Point, but we do just want to clarify that while, the state confirmed that they're definitely working with you on the licensing, in the meantime, before you're licensed, you're not permitted to be operating as a child care facility. So I think that's one thing that's kind of important to clarify.
We're not. We are handling babysitting through the church until it is a fully functioning daycare.
All right, very good.
Right, and under that, it has to stay at 6 or below unless it meets certain qualifications and standards. And under just the babysitting as a ministry of the church, ODJFS said that alone is not enough to be operating at the level that you were when we were out there.
Do you acknowledge that?
I'm sorry?
Do you acknowledge that you will operate within the law?
Yes, we have directly been talking to ODJFS, and they're working with them. Can Dawn speak to this real quick if she's still there?
Yes, please, Dawn.
Yes, sorry. Yes, we are working with them through this. I just want to confirm that we're here to discuss the parking so that we can move forward with.
Right.
Because without the zoning for the parking, we can't move forward with licensing a daycare.
Okay, we're just confirming that you're not gonna operate a daycare until you're properly licensed. You're not.
Correct, yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, I will entertain a motion from board members or questions if you have any.
No questions for me. I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right, let's do it.
Madam Chair, based on the testimony you've heard today from the appellant, the city, the CDC, the councilwoman's representative, I move that we approve calendar number 24-071.
All right, is there a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
All right, call the roll.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Calendar number 24-071 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday and we'll send you a letter.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Ooh.
Okay, Madam Chair, do we have Holzer for 5 more minutes? We have the first pickleball facility in the state or city? I'm not sure if she can stay though. I don't want to speak for her.
I can stay for another 5, but I have a hard out at 12:35.
Oh, thank you.
Ooh, let's see if we can do it.
Thank you, Madam
All right,
Chair.
you want to read the case in, Ms. Holzer?
Sure. Our next case, and I believe last case, is calendar 24-074. This is at 12400 Crossburn Avenue. Earl Group LLC, I apologize if I butchered that, proposes to establish use of an existing warehouse to an indoor and outdoor pickleball facility in a B1 semi-industry district and general industry district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and public record, of which there are 4. With that, I'll hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Starting with those who are in the room, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please reply with I do. State your name.
Kevin Schmatzer with the City of Cleveland.
I do. Robert Early.
I do.
Who was the last I do?
That was Kevin.
Say your name again, please.
Robert Early.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in this matter?
I do.
Who is that?
Yes. Barbara Starr, 12405 Crossburn Avenue.
Thank you, Ms. Starr. And the next person someone had their hand up.
Austin Raymond, Jefferson Purist, West Park CDC, 14703 Purist Ave.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Anyone else on?
Melissa Miller Sedlock, Jefferson Purist, West Park CDC, 14703 Purist Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44135.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Nate Lull, I do, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Lowell. All right, back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Roca. Let's start with the history of the property, please.
Madam Chair, there's been no change in the zoning since 1929. There are no variances on file. And this manufacturing plant cement brick building was erected in 1946. I think that's all that's relevant.
All right, legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Aldermen requesting a use variance and area variances of the minimum distance and parking requirements to zoning code. To obtain the use variance, all must prove that denying the request will result in unnecessary hardship, particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use. Will deprive the owner of substantial property rights. The granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, all must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty, not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district. Deprive the owner of substantial property rights. The granting variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, thank you. And you want to start by telling us what you're going to do here?
I'm going to defer that to Mr. Schmatzer. He's going to give the overview.
I'm going to give a brief overview. So the Department of Economic Development also is supportive of this project. This building's been vacant since we believe either 1987 or 1988 when the industrial company left. A long time. It's at the end of a residential street. This has been a great collaboration with the developer on this property and the local CDC who is on this call, and the councilman to really come up with some ideas moving forward to repurpose this property, and including parking, make sure there's appropriate parking, and that the residents of the neighborhood, if for some reason they needed additional parking, they could utilize that at the end of this, the street there too. Including some things moving forward with this, EV charging stations, you know, because we got to think along that way. Working with the local CDC on a landscaping plan, not only around there, but as a buffer with the neighborhood. So we've all worked collaboratively on this. The legislation that Economic Development did with Councilman Casey was passed and approved for funding to help move this long vacant property forward. So I just wanted to give that brief overview, Madam Chair, a little bit about the partnership with this, with the Department of Economic Development and with our CDC partner on this. I'll just turn this over to Rob to talk about his proposed plans for the pickleball facility.
All right, yeah, and what we're looking up at the screen here now are indoor-outdoor courts, and I think our big hardship is not only our residents are close, but we plan on respecting that. Second is the occupant load. We've proposed 60 parking spots. We think at full capacity, these amount of courts here would put us under 60 people, including 4 for staff. So even 100% occupied court day for 10 hours a day, however long we're open, we will still not exceed the 60 spots. So I think that was the important part. I think the code is written that since it's 32,000 square feet, we need as much parking as 262 parking spots, which wouldn't be appropriate for the use that we're proposing. So I think that's really our hardship that we're looking at this point.
Okay, can you speak a little bit more to why that is inconsistent? How would you only use 60 and the code says 262?
Code is reading amount of square footage, so that'll call out parking. We're using courts that are 30 by 60 per court and can only have maybe 2 or 4 people play on them at a time. So at 4 people at courts here puts us under 60. 60 occupants to be fully occupied, meaning that may or may not happen. Maybe a couple spurts of being completely full, great, but we don't see it being full 100% of the time, so your parking wouldn't even be used. So calling out 260 is what the code does. 60 seems more than reasonable to operate the facility day-to-day operations, including staff.
Very good.
Yep.
Done for the
Yeah.
comments? Okay. We'll move now to the next person who swore in. That will be Barbara Starr. Please make your comment.
Yes,
And
can you hear me?
Yes, I will set my time for 2 minutes.
Okay, I get 2 minutes. All right, I'm gonna talk really fast.
All right,
Okay,
let's go.
I appreciate Casey and the city and everybody trying to move this project forward, to improve the neighborhood. That's not my concern. The parking, I think it is going to kind of be it might potentially be a problem with people parking on the street and the litter and things. That's something, as neighbors, we can deal with. But not having that parking lot paved is something that to me is even a separate issue than pickleball. It's any building like at that size, it should be paved. There's water, mud that runs down when it rains, of course. It runs down into the gutter, down to the sewers. There could be an EPA concern as you took a picture that it doesn't look like gravel, it looks like black stuff. I don't know what that is. I'd like to have that checked out. I don't want to have mud. If I wanted to walk through mud, I would probably go live in Medina or someplace. This is the city. I think we have to keep these kind of standards for our streets being clean, because we don't get our streets clean like we used to back in the day. So it's always going to be mud all around. There's no way they could put pickleball courts outside now because it's not paved. So I don't know how anybody can play pickleball on a bunch of gravel. I don't know how people can walk up to the door without twisting their ankles. So to me, he stopped just short of coming to the standards that we as Clevelanders should expect from our partners. Now, I understand Mr. Early is a councilman in Parma, and he knows the importance of codified ordinances in order to keep the city, up to standards. And this is what I'm asking here. The parking and that, like I said, that can resolve itself. but the paving of the parking lot, the mud, Mr. Jones, who had it in the 70s, he had a drain. He made sure water didn't
Sorry,
pour down the street.
your 2 minutes are up.
Okay.
I'll give you 10 more
Oh,
seconds
okay.
to finish up.
Okay, so I'm urging you, even though, like I said, I'm basically for it, we have to maintain the standards. I can't walk in mud every time it rains, and my neighbors shouldn't have to do that, and none of us on our street. That should be part of us. Any building, if it was a bakery, oh, would I love that. But a podcast studio, he might turn
Thank
around
you.
and sell it in a year. But I'm still going to have to deal with the mud. And all of us are. And that's not the standard. The city, this is a city.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Starr.
Madam Chair.
Please.
We will be paving. There are existing drains there because I think this was paved a long time ago. It was muddy, dirty, dusty, so we did lay down millings to get through construction. We do plan on making 60 parking spots hard surface and using existing drains. So we will upkeep the neighborhood and control the water.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Very good. Thank you so much for that
Good
comment.
point by Ms. Starr.
Okay. All right, I'll turn next to Melissa Miller Sedlock. Do you wish to give comment?
Thank you. I do appreciate that, that Mr. Early said that he will be doing the parking lot. The only thing is the fourth piece of this variance is the curb bumpers, and we want that to be a part of it as well. But as far as the first 2 points of this variance, both the council person and the development corporation are in favor of granting the variance for the parking.
Okay, and can you articulate the one that's your concern a little bit more for us?
Just not the fourth one with the bumpers. If you're going to put in the parking lot, we would like him to put in the curb bumpers for the cars.
Curb bumpers. Okay, is that your intention to
Yeah,
install?
Madam Chair, number 4 is curb bumpers. Yes, we'll put hard surface down and then bumpers for parking. It's so people don't drive further than they're supposed to. So we would do that to protect the neighbors and the building and others.
So we're all set there. I will now turn to Austin Raymond.
Yes, just to piggyback off of Melissa Miller, we're in support of the use of the building. And we do support the 60 parking spots. After doing the quick math, we noticed that 60 is more than efficient for parking. And we don't support, as Mr. Early said, he's going to pave and put bumpers in. So we're in favor of the first 2 variances.
Okay, thank you. Is there any comment from City Planning?
Thank you, Nate Law with Cleveland City Planning. I would concur with the CDC's comments about the last 2 variances, which it sounds like will not be needed to be granted today. In regards to the parking requirements, it is an arbitrary amount of parking spaces for this proposed facility. Essentially, that would equate to a Walmart-sized parking lot for a facility that will never have as many people as a grocery store or something like that would have. So, and in terms of the use, it's a much less intensive use than what the property is zoned for. With it's actually split zoned for general industry and semi-industry. So this proposed use will be more neighborhood friendly, and we're really excited to see the first pickleball facility in the city of Cleveland. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Lowe. I'll turn to you, Madam Secretary. Any comments on this correspondence?
Nope, we haven't received any letters or anything.
All right, any questions from the board?
Yeah, I guess my only, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. My only question is, with respect to the 2 variances related to number 3 and number 4, are we saying that those variances are not needed anymore because the appellant is going to comply with those requirements, and therefore do we need a new site plan?
So that's your testimony that you're going to comply. You're not requesting a variance in numbers 3 and 4. Are we understanding that?
Madam Chair, that's correct. So whether we update the site plan or not, we will have it to get occupancy. We will have that done, both hard surface and bumpers.
Okay, is that indicated on your site plan or no?
No, because we are here today because it doesn't show on the plans. We will revise that, or if we need to, or we'll just put it in. We will have it done.
Okay, yes. So, all right. So if it's not on the plans, that's why you needed a variance. If you're saying you're gonna do it, we'll just make it a condition of the motion and just, you'll have to have a new site plan submitted.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, does that mean we would hold ratification or just make a note that we are not granting the variances for those two things? And that a revised drawing is required for the next step in the permit process?
I think we normally hold ratification, don't we?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Wasn't sure if we were trying to do something different right now.
I'll
but yes.
defer to the chair, but I thought that was the process.
Yes, I think we can stick to how we typically do it. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Roca. Ms. Holzer, any questions from you?
Since this is going to be a business, I think I missed whether or not the appellant shared hours of operation.
Madam Chair, we did not share the hours of operation. We are seeking to handle seniors and silver sneakers by 7 a.m. For their morning exercise and practice and competitions. And we do expect quite a crowd for, like leagues and things that will come in with people 18 to 40. So we are probably targeting a little bit later in the evening, probably as late as probably 10 would probably be still flowing people in. Granted, most of this stuff is inside anyway, and with weather being non-compliant most of the year, I don't think we're gonna be playing pickleball at midnight outside, so I'm trying not to say we're gonna be that late. But I don't really know how late yet. But I'm assuming that 10, 11 o'clock hour probably indoor would be appropriate. And then again, 7 in the morning, because Silver Sneakers, the seniors get out to play pickleball incredibly early. They're asking if I can open before 7. And I don't know. And then you get people who work second shift that say, can I stay open till midnight? So I don't know. But the need is there. It's just, do we have a restriction on time? I mean, are we going to have one? That's the big question. Because I don't know yet. We're not open. So it's hard to say.
You'll want to be as inclusive as possible with your time so that you can work within the parameters of that. So we will include the time in our motion if we are to approve this.
7 a.m. to midnight, is that right?
Madam Chair, yes. I would say let's say 7A to 12A.
All right, any additional questions, board members? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Is that Monday through Friday or 7 days a week?
7 days a week, Madam Chair.
May I speak? May I speak? Madam Chair,
I'm sorry,
this is Mrs. Starr. I appreciate, Madam Chair, I appreciate your hard work. So when it says here, proposing gravel lot, that's gone, right? So it is going to be paved.
It's going to be paved.
Because I'm just a lay person. I believe the ordinances in the city of Cleveland are 7 to 10. Making noise. Am I not correct? Like my neighbors can't have a party after 10 o'clock.
That's the noise ordinance, not the zoning code.
Yeah, so that's
okay.
Here today.
Okay.
But yes, we do believe that your concerns have been addressed. We thank you so much for your comment.
Thank you, and thank you for your hard work.
I appreciate it. Ms. Holzer, Ms. Roker, any additional questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, I will entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, based on the testimony we've heard today from all parties present, I move that we approve calendar number 24-074. And note that the appellant will operate the pickleball facility from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., 7 days a week. And also add the condition that the variance number 3 and variance number 4 are being removed because the appellant is going to issue a new site plan to the Board of Zoning Appeals indicating that there's no longer a need for either of those variances. And we will hold ratification until we receive that plan.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Roca. Is there a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
All right, we call the roll.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Calendar number 24-074 is granted conditionally. We'll hold ratification until we receive that updated drawing. Once we receive that, we'll ratify it the following Monday and send you a letter.
Thank you for squeezing this.
Madam Chair, thank you. Yes.
Madam
You're
Chair.
so welcome.
Yes.
The hair on our chin.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ms. Holzer, for
Thank you,
hanging in,
yes, thank you, Ms. Hoser, for accommodating us.
Not a problem.
taking it in her car.
All right, we'll move to old business so that we can get you out of here, Ms.
Thank you.
Hoser.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Very excited. Thank you.
But also, let me confirm that we did not skip a case.
Yes.
Appeal of Charles Williams.
This was
We gave it a new,
It
yeah,
was
that was
Postponed.
very good. I'm like, I know I didn't hear anybody.
Thank you.
Okay, old business. What am I supposed to say? We have old business.
Yes. Oh, do you need a copy or it's on the screen? Items 1 through 6.
Okay, so we have items 1 through, is it 5 or 6? I see 5.
1 through 6.
1 through 6?
Oh, wait, do you have a different one that says?
Sorry, I had 1 through 5.
Yeah, I see 1 through 5 too. Let's just make sure.
Yes, no, it actually should be, no, I apologize, Harvard is off there, so it's 1 through 5. You're correct. Yep.
Okay. All right, any objection to 1 through 5, board members?
No objection.
No objections.
All right. So,
Just a typical affirmation, calendar number 23-164, Steinway Avenue. Variance was granted to erect a garage in November of last year. They're still working on their architectural drawings.
any objections to affirmation extended?
No objection.
No objection.
All right.
Now we have 2 reinstatements. Calendar number 24-066, appeal of Eben Reed from the decision of assessments and license to deny tow truck license. This was dismissed on May 20th. You may remember there was an absence without a contact from him, and he contacted us immediately later that day after the hearing, stating that he missed the hearing because he was unable to log in at the time. He was having difficulties.
Okay, any objection?
No objection.
Objection.
All right, no
We'll give
objection.
him a date of June 24th.
Okay.
And also, there's another request for reinstatement, calendar number 24-038, regarding 216 Real Estate LLC, Jason Lewis requesting an administrative appeal from violation notice number V24003-721. This case was dismissed on May 13th due to the appellant's unexplained absence. He stated that he was logged in, but no one attended the hearing. He contacted our office after we had sent him a letter stating that his case was dismissed, and he contacted us immediately after he received the letter. So not sure what happened with the link. I know that we had other people logged in that day. So it is, of course, up to the board members.
All right, any objection on putting this back on the calendar, board members?
No, odd explanation, but no objection.
Yeah. Yeah. No objection.
All right, no objection.
We'll get him back on right away on June 24th as well.
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
All right,
Thank you,
meeting is
everyone.
adjourned. Thank you so much.
I'll be sure to check in.
Thanks, everybody.